Well, what do you know? What do you know? It is time for a new episode of The Gabbin' and the Games. Today, we have a very special guest. Now, you can probably hear him right now, singing the song, rapping the song, what have you. That is our very own hip-hop gamer, who I'm sure you guys all know. Let me put him up on the screen. Let's go. Are you there? Can you hear me? Are you there? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
What's going on, baby? You already know what it is, son. Let's get it popping, man. It's the one and only hip-hop gamer, David. I love you. Let's go.
All right,
let's go.
Nobody can see yet. They don't realize you don't got a stitch of clothing on. Hang on a second, sir. Let me get this.
All right, cool. Let's get it.
You know, that's important because there we go. All right, so boom, there we go. We got hip-hop on the left. We got Jaffe on the right. So what you got is a what you got. Okay, now let's just be clear. Okay, we are going to talk about a lot of shit today. And I have known you.
We'll get into it.
We are, and we're gonna get to like state of play, and I want to ask you about some of the EA controversy. There was a Bobby Kotick thing. I want to get into industry stuff a little bit later. So if anybody's tuning in, going, "What'd you think of Ratchet and Clank?" I'll fucking tell you, and hip hop will tell you as well. But I think the main thing that I want to talk about, at least first, is that this video you put out last week, and I'll tell you what, that video, I found it fascinating. I did not see a lot of coverage of it, which probably speaks to your very fucking point. And if people aren't familiar, and by the way, let's be clear also, fuck you, Brian King. Brian King's in the chat saying, look at the muscles on Jaffe. Go fuck yourself, all right? Go fuck yourself, motherfucker.
Oh man.
But and by the way, you guys, if you want to talk to hip hop, he's here. If you want to call in, put yourself in the call-in waiting room. Rob the model talk to you. He'll treat you real nice and sexy, and then we'll put you on to hip hop. So listen, so you put this video out, and I want to be clear because I consider myself as much of a non-racist as any 50-year-old white guy who was raised Jewish in the South but is an atheist. I don't, so I'm gonna step in some potholes here, but I want to get down into it and talk about it, and it's impossible not to based on that video. So you put this, so forewarn, if I say something that sounds dumb, it comes from a place of ignorance, and you'll educate me, I hope. So
absolutely, bro. You're
right.
My brother, man.
I know. I know. And we'll talk about how we met and all that stuff. But I got to get to this video. So you put this video out, and the gist of it was, the title is, "Why are there no prominent black game journalists?" Right?
No. The title was why top gaming journalists can't be black.
Can't be black, right? So.
Right.
There's a lot I want to ask you about it. Do you want to give people kind of a high concept of what the gist was? Okay.
Yeah, so the context of why I made a video, and like I said, timing is everything from a journalistic standpoint. I make sure that I do everything accurately. So if you go on Google, everybody that's in the chat right now, if you go on Google right now, go to your search and type in top gaming journalists, and you're not going to see not one black person at all, right? Not one at all.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll down, you'll see an area where there's a Black History Month situation. So we'll get white as a collective right then and there, this new piece. But in terms of top gaming journalists, there's no representation there. And what's funny is there's people that's not even journalists.
Yeah.
But they're on that list.
Well, okay, so do you consider yourself a journalist?
Of course, number one. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I'm asking because these days, like, there are people who actually, just because I do some interviews, they're like, "Oh, Jaffe's I'm like, I'm not a fucking journalist." Like, I mean, what defines a journalist, right? I mean, do you have to go to like journalism school like Greg Miller did? Is it just that you do the work? I mean, what do you define?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. One of the things that I told people when I started, I never went to game journalism school or journalism, period. My grandmother taught me how to play video games, bro. I grew up in this. This is my life. So what I did was I took time out to study the industry, to study everything about it. And then once I did that, when I was watching G4 Tech TV, Adam Sessler and all this other stuff, shout out to Adam and everything, I was inspired, man. I was like, yo, I want to do this stuff too. Now what happened is it started to seem like the corporations was getting to their voices and things wasn't authentic anymore. And I feel like if you're going to be a journalist, what is that about? Getting to the facts, getting down to the nitty gritty so you can report what's going on. Like that's what real journalism is. That's what I wanted to do. I was inspired by it, and that's what I became, and I did it. And for example, even doing interviews with you, being able to pull certain things out of you that others couldn't because of the relationship that we built within our interview. That's skill right there. That's talent. That's journalism. That's digging. So that's what journalism is: having a passion for something that you love and getting down to the facts and sharing it with the world.
Okay,
that's what it is to me.
And I look. I mean, I consider journalists an incredibly noble profession. I mean, certainly when you're dealing with journalists of politics and world events, entertainment journalism, obviously less so, but it is still, it is journalism. And so I agree with you and I appreciate that. You on your video though, yeah, you're right. All these people who were considered journalists, and even though some of them weren't in your minds, they were all white, I think, except one. I think Dean Takashi, right, over at Venture Beat. I mean, he's white, he's Asian, But
the point in the context of the video was can't be black.
That's
so
right. Of course. Well, and there was only one Asian guy. I mean, it wasn't like it, And then you showed us in the video the women journalists of gaming, and they were all white.
Yep.
And it was like, and then this is the part that really fascinated me, that you started talking about. You started listing off black game journalists, and I was like, who the fuck, who? I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I know a couple of people that are black. I know Guy Kroll, who's not a journalist anymore. Now he's got a consultancy company. Great guy. I know you. And then there's a couple of new guys that have kind of popped on, Kind of Funny. Has a new guy that they just brought on who's a black
Paris.
dude. No, well, yeah, Paris is on there, and so is this other dude. I forget what his name is. Yes, there you go, Blessing Jr. So, but other than that, all these folks that you were listing, I was like, oh, interesting. So there's no doubt you have a point. And the other point you brought up a lot of great points, was, per scale, per capita, black folks, and I can show you the stats. I looked it up, and you're absolutely right. I only looked it up because I knew people would challenge it, because it's a surprising fact, which is black people constitute the majority of gamers, not in terms of like the world or even in America, but in terms of I think black people make up, I think it was like 26% of gamers in terms or black people. 26% of black people play video games. And like, it was like 18 or 19 of white and like 21 of Hispanic. And I was like, okay, that's really fascinating. And you're basically saying, where's our fucking voice on the media side, given that we create most of, or a lot of that culture around it. And we consume a lot of it, right? And I was like, just talk about that, because I have questions, but that blew my fucking mind. And when you said that, and when you pointed out there were no real prominent, other than you, black journalists, and you have to admit you're kind of loaded. You're polarizing, right? Just like I am.
Absolutely.
There are people.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, why do you think it is? Like, the one thing I didn't get in the video was, I understand why it is in terms of these media companies and stuff, but why do you think we don't see more black faces that are talking about games in terms of journalists?
Okay, couple of reasons, but I'll try to be as brief as possible to make it concise so y'all can understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
So the first thing is this, right? I'm gonna use my life, my real experience. So everything that I'm talking about is not about what ifs or guesses.
Okay.
Everything I'm telling you is based off actual facts, and I'm using my life as a representation of it.
Okay.
Okay, one. So when I first came in the industry, it was 2008. Okay. Nobody never seen anybody like me before. This is back when I had a Johnson.
Only Cliff Bleszinski when he was dressing up for E3. You were the next Cliff Bleszinski in my mind, because you were walking around with the chains and the WWE belt and all that shit.
Yeah.
And so, it was like, what the fuck? And that had nothing
Yeah.
to do with you being black or white. That was just like, this motherfucker is showing up and he's like, I'm here. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. So what happened is when I got there 2008, in my mind, I'm thinking that like this is like heaven to me. I'm at E3. This is a dream come true.
Right.
So I'm thinking we all gamers and I'm just walking into a whole nother family and stuff like that. And then this is when I realized that that wasn't the case. Okay. So here's the rude awakening. One of the first experiences that I had, I went up to IGN. And IGN, they had a booth on the meetings floor. You know, when you go up the escalator,
that's
when
right.
you're going to eat.
That's right.
And keep in mind, it's 2008. So IGN, they had their booth and stuff like that. And everybody walked around, you know, having a good time. And I knocked and said, hey, everybody, just, you know, humbly just want to introduce myself and everything like that. And they looked at me like, what are you doing here?
What
like,
you got a sense that they didn't feel you were welcome there?
Yeah. Like, they were like, what are you doing here? Like, it was very, very condescending and the energy was so horrible. But I was like, you know what? Maybe somebody had a bad day. Let me just, you know what I mean? Brush it off.
And that was specifically IGN's booth.
Yeah, that was IGN's booth. That was that, right? So then, after that, I did interviews with Aaron Greenberg. It was huge. I started doing all these big things and people going crazy. It was exciting, right? And then they had because this was the year where it wasn't as populated, because this is when they was trying to be more businessy, so it wasn't as many people.
Was this the one in Santa Monica on the
No, it was still in LA.
It was still in the convention center.
Yeah, at the convention center, but it was when it was more scaled down. It was more scaled back.
Okay.
So I met up with Michael Pachter, Incredible, my brother for life, all this other stuff. Then this is what happened. There was an event, and a gentleman pulled me to the side, and they was like, "Yo, I've been watching some of your stuff, and you're great, but I want to talk to you about something." So I was like, "All right, cool." I don't remember like what this dude's name was. It was so long ago. Right. And he was like, "Yo, like look around you and look at you." And I was like, "Okay." And when he did that to say, "Look, I support you and stuff like that, but there's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable with you being here." Like,
really? Wait, what event? What was this? What was
this? Was I think it was a party that Ubisoft had, but it wasn't Ubisoft that was saying it. It was people at the party that was saying these things.
Is that your wife? Put your damn wife on the show. God damn it.
Oh no, she's not gonna come on the show. Right?
She's been on before. I've talked to her before.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. She got the bonnet on right now. I don't think she want to come on the screen right now.
Come on, now. Like that. All right, fine.
Oh, he hears you talking in the background, stuff like that. So, but shout out to Red Infamy. Love you, babe. That's right. And David Happy said to tell you what's up. So,
so Ubisoft party.
Yeah, so we had this party. I believe it was Ubisoft party, and somebody pulled me to the side, and we was having a conversation. And what was so sad about it was he's like, "Yo, look, I support you and stuff like that, but like." If you look around you, look at you, a lot of people don't feel comfortable with you being around.
Was this before Phil Spencer when he said this to you? Was it before he was leading Xbox, or this was before that?
Phil Spencer wasn't even a picture. This is 2008. Bro.
I know, I'm fucking with you. All right, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Was this? Let me ask you this: was it a black guy or a white guy who said this to you?
White guy.
White guy. All right, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, because see, the thing is, just to provide more context, right? Back then, like, it was extremely cliquish. It was like very, very cliquish with websites and all. So if IGN was caught talking to people at GameSpot and all this other stuff, like people would literally get fired over certain things like that because they wouldn't want certain people to be represented. Remember, what's the name got fired for telling the truth about a review? Jeff Gerstmann.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So that's what I'm saying. This is the time that I'm talking about back then. It was very, very cutthroat and strict, right? So when I came around, so when that was said to me, I was like, "Yo, what do you mean?" So when he said unprofessional, what do you mean unprofessional?
He was saying you were being unprofessional.
No, he was saying that this is what people were saying that was talking to him.
Right, that they thought that.
Yeah, and because you gotta remember the way the industry is one way. When I came on, like how you said, I'm very polarizing. I'm very different from everybody else.
You are.
So you know how it is. If you don't fit in this group, then they consider you a problem. You need to get you out of here.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we at. So when he was talking to me, giving me inside information so I could be aware of what's going on and what's being said, because people wouldn't come up and tell me to my face. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So when that happened, I was like discouraged, man. I was like, I came here to have fun and meet so many people just to feel like I don't belong. It made me, you know what I mean? Like
I know exactly what
crazy.
you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Let me just I want to pick up on that. I just want to tell you one thing. Anybody giving super chats, thank you so much. Anybody in the chat asking stuff, we will get to those. I want to have all my focus on hip hop right now, and I just want to let you know I've got like 3 monitors, and I'm monitoring. It's just me, just like you. You kind of your one man band. So if I'm looking away while you're talking, it's not that I'm not paying attention to you. I'm just making sure that there's nothing happening in the chat that they want to ask you, or that we're still live and all that. So let's just I want to get that out of the way. So okay.
Right. So now.
Yeah.
So so that was one situation that was an awakening to me. It made me realize that the same battles, no matter where you go, is the same battles I'm gonna have to deal with, even in the gaming industry. You know what I'm saying? Just dealing with, being black. I didn't do nothing. Nobody my first year here. Right. So then this is when things really got crazy. So one of the reasons why I made this video is because I started getting really big. Okay. Like really, really big. This is the N4G days. Now we're getting into the news for gamer, the N4G days, right? So every week, because my show came on every Sunday, every week I'm on the front page. I had the most fire on my articles. And remember, this is a website that's backed by, I think, ZDNet and all this other stuff, like CBS Interactive, all that. So there was never, keep in mind, there was never, ever, ever a black journalist that was on a major platform that gave you your gaming news. When it came to IGN, Greg Miller was the guy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He was the main guy that they supported. So you got millions of dollars in a website that he gets to benefit from as the face of it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Then if you go to Kotaku, you go to GameSpot, all these places, never, ever, 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 ever had a black person that would be
but why?
Right?
Why?
So now we're gonna get to the why.
I mean, I think the duh answer is racism, but why? I mean,
So when I started getting big, right, there was people that had a problem with it. So this is what happened. I started posting stuff on N4G. And then next thing you know, Kotaku gets the credit for the article that I broke or put it out, or my page my interview would just mysteriously come down, and then everybody else gets the benefit of my traffic, and I get gone. So I started reaching out to N4G like, hey, what's going on? I don't know what happened, blah blah blah, but this is happening. And then that's when it hit. That's when it happened. People were saying that we don't consider your content authentic enough. We don't consider this. I'm like, what are you talking about? I broke the story. I'm the first one with it. Like, for example, Halo 1 HD remake. I was the one that broke that because I was the one telling people that remakes was going to be the brand new thing coming in the 360 PS3 era. Okay. And I was right. So my thing is, when that started to happen, now I knew it was. Look, I don't own the website. I can't control what they do. Sure. But I see what's going on. So then think about this. After me, when it comes to N4G, there's never been another black person that was able to capitalize on the fact that N4G is backed by a major company that get a lot of funding, and anybody that gets on there could get a lot of recognition.
Okay. So let's okay. So here's one of those things that I'm probably going to step in it. But I don't care. I care. I want to know what you think about this, right? And I'm not. The minute I met you, I liked you. I was like, I like this guy. I like his energy. I like his story about his grandma. I like the fact that he doesn't give a fuck. He is out there in the world, and he's saying, this is my shit. Do with it what you will, but I'm going to be authentic. And I respond well to people who do that. I don't like fake people, right? Right. Even though, let's be clear, when you are on, you are on. But so is Greg Miller. I mean, sitting with Greg Miller on his show is different than sitting with Greg Miller in real life, because he's a character, Greg Miller. Hip Hop Gamer, there's two of you. There's this guy who's the authentic guy and the journalist. But when you're on camera, you're being the amplified version of you, correct?
No, like
Come on.
No,
You're telling me when
no.
you get into bed with your wife, you got the belt and the gold chains, and you're like,
No,
yo, get
No,
ready, let's go. Here comes the dick. Come on, man.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like my energy and my passion. That's me. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like, for example, a lot of people say he can't be this hype all the time.
Right.
Yeah, like even in school, everywhere I went, I always had that energy. I'm like Goldberg and WCW, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Like I've always had that energy since I was a kid. So that's always been me in terms of my energy. Most people didn't believe that. They felt like that was a facade because who could be that happy all the time and that? Well, look, I am.
Right.
And that's because the way I live my life, I put God first in everything that I do, and I literally enjoy like my life, bro.
So I think, and that sounds great, and I think though that is certainly part of the challenge maybe that these people have taking you serious, right? Because that is so foreign to them. Whether or not you are a black dude or a white dude, it is, you know, you don't really come across as a serious guy, which doesn't mean you're not, right? And I think, because here's where I'm going with this, is like, if you look, and I didn't even know there was a term for this. My kids educated me on this, but like if you look at, because what I have really gotten into, when you said there was no black journalist, at first I was like, okay, I guess they're not journalists, but do you know where, you probably do you know where the majority of people that are really making waves on YouTube are black dudes and white, black women and Hispanic people. Like they have the podcast, they have the YouTube channels, they feel genuine, they feel grounded, they feel authentic. If I go to a lot of the white folks who have YouTube shows, and I'm not going to say who they are, it feels more like it feels more like they're trying to. Well, it feels more like they're trying to make a TV show with, you know, with the graphics and the nice set and all this. And I brought this up only because I was like, I wanted to make sure I was right about this. There's an article I was reading about it, about when I go to a show like Next Gen 720, right? Or if I go, even though I don't think they liked me very much, when I go to like Weapon Wheel Podcast once or twice, there is more of a feel, it's like family. Or it's like, you know, it's a cliche, and I know it sounds bad coming out of a white guy's mouth, but it's like the black barbershop, right? I was researching, because at first I was like, is that a racist thing? And I researched it. And
No.
It's
called barbershop talk. It's called barbershop talk. It means real talk.
Yeah, and it was like, I love that about those shows, you know? But if I go listen to the Game Informer podcast, it's very buttoned up. It's very... You know, and what I'm wondering is that barbershop talk the reason these guys just don't get it? They don't take it serious. And it's because you do more barbershop talk. Although I will say the video you put out last week was not that. It was one of the few times I've seen you. It's just like, dude, he's just delivering information, and there is no there is no wiggle room. He's just like, fuck you, motherfucker. Here are the facts. But a lot of times you do come off as more barbershop talk. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, that's how you communicate.
Of course. Because one of the problems that I learned about the gaming industry overall is that most people look at it as a job. I look at it as my life.
Okay.
It's a different energy to it. So most people that treat it like a job, 9 to 5, shut down, that's it. People that look at it as their life, this is 24/7. When you up and then you go to sleep, you do other things, whatever. But this is like my livelihood. It stems from my grandma. Like, you know what I mean? So it means something to me more. It means more to me. It's different. So the same energy that I give to people, I want them to feel like they family with me too. That's why when we first met, it's like you know me all your life because I really care. Yeah. Like for real.
I just liked you immediately. That's all I know. I didn't analyze it beyond that, except now we are. But I was just like, I like this guy. You know, anyone who's a journalist, you got to be careful with when you're the subject, of course. But I was just like, you know, this guy seems real and authentic. I'm wondering. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, cut me off. There's got to be that. This is the Jaffe version of barbershop talk. Cut me off all fucking day. I don't care. Go.
So now I got you. Now here's what I want to share with you, right?
Yeah.
Remember the video that you made, not just only on my behalf, like 9 years ago, but you made a video saying that you don't want any money from any racist
Oh,
when
yeah.
they buy Twisted Metal.
That's
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah, because
So,
people were coming out, just to give people some context. I did a video about the soundtrack, and I said, oh, you know,
Yes.
we're going to have, we couldn't get Judas Priest, but we got a band that sounds like them. We got a lot of sort of metal, this, that, and the other. And I was like, I was really excited because I couldn't get a Jay-Z track, but I think we got one from NWA. And that was what sent off a bunch of people. They were pissed off that Mr. Grimm was a black guy this time around. And they were pissed off that we had rap on the soundtrack. And I said, the soundtrack is about aggression and power and just ambition, and there's, you know, metal captures that well, and hardcore rap captures that well, and people, just not all people, most people were fine with it, but were there people who were a bunch of racist dicks who were like, I don't want that fucking shit music in my fucking Twisted Metal? I'm like, well, then don't fucking buy it, motherfucker. But yeah, so I remember now. Yes.
yeah, so the point I'm trying to say is the fact that you even had to make that video is the point why I had to make my video.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
there's people, there's people behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes that y'all do know, that you would be surprised at how they really are. Remember, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I never did. I've been around so much stuff and seen so much stuff, but you know, like, I'm not a messy person like that. I don't just go out, you know, just saying this, saying that. Everything that I do is very calculated. So now, go ahead.
Well, okay, let me just be clear here. Are you saying that there are well-known journalists, gaming personalities? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right.
Yeah.
You're implying, or not even implying, you're saying
Not implying,
there are well-known gaming journalists that are overtly racist people?
Yes. From my experience.
Like if I were
them.
to say the name, the people watching the chat would know who I'm talking about. That's how well-known they are.
No, they know how to keep it a secret when
No.
they're around
No.
certain people.
No. I don't mean the fact that they're racist. I mean, if I were to say the name, they would go, "Oh, I know that person he's talking about." They're well known.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so who do you think is the most racist game journalist?
I wouldn't say the most racist, but I will say this, right? I had a run-in with Ben Kashira. Y'all remember him?
I do know Ben. Ben and I, you know, I'm one of the few guys online that I know that so far likes Ben, but every time I talk something about Ben positive, people are like, dude, you don't know the real Ben Kashira, he's awful. I'm like, really? So no, I don't know any of the stories. Go ahead though.
Okay, so my thing is, now to put this in context, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a bashing party. I don't want people to champion this.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, when there's a problem, my goal is to figure out how can it be fixed, because that's what I'm about.
Right.
Positivity and love. That's what I'm about.
Okay.
So there was an incident that happened in 2009 when I was at a Sony event.
Okay.
And this is back when 3D was popular, and selling the Killzone stuff and everything. And somebody, if you ever been in the audience where everybody's cheering and clapping,
sure,
and then you may hear somebody do this, like 2 extra claps at the end.
Oh, just so they get heard, yeah.
So what happened is, I did that because I'm crazy excited.
Yeah.
And somebody leaned back and said, "Yo, why don't you shut the F up?"
Okay.
And told this to me, just out the blue. I don't know this person, whatever.
Okay.
So what happened afterwards, I've never seen the person, I've never addressed the person or whatever, because when after all that stuff happened, when the event was over, I was pulled to do an interview.
Okay.
And so I never even seen this person like literally ever again. So I'm listening to Game Attack Radio.
Well, hang on a second. What did you say to him?
I said, well, I'm not going, because I don't curse and stuff like that. Okay. But let's just say I said, mother F you back. What's up? Like, what you want to do? Remember, I'm still in the transition period. I'm coming from the hood.
Okay.
I'm still transitioning. I'm trying to leave that your life alone. But let's just say I gave him a mouthful too, because
gotcha. Okay. All right. So then you're in your interview. Yep. No, you were watching the podcast or the interview.
No. So now I'm listening to Game Attack Radio, right? Yeah. So when I'm listening to Game Attack Radio, Ben Kashira was a guest on Godfrey's podcast, and he said that he had brought it up, saying that he don't really like Hip Hop Gamer because he start fights at conferences and all this other stuff. And I'm like, this is really foul. This is really foul. I'm gonna tell you why this is foul. Because I was just with him at a Call of Duty event. This is Call of Duty XP. I think it was 2012 because they had a big event to celebrate Call of Duty. I was just with him, and it was me, him, and Torrance Davis, and we all doing selfies, having a good time, talking. Everything is good, and then you get on this show and try to talk about me and demonize me, and you don't even know what the situation is or what happened or the context, but you go put that out, and then I have a follow-up conversation with you about it. And then you don't even apologize. You said, "Oh, well, I didn't know." Once I told them the story, it just left it at that. So now let me tell you how.
I just want to get the dates right though. So 2009 is when you told the guy to shut the fuck. He told you to shut the fuck up, right?
Yes.
When was the radio, the Gamertag radio?
I don't remember the date of the Gamertag radio podcast. I don't remember that.
Only because you're saying that was 2012. So was he referring to the 2009 event when the guy told you to shut the fuck up?
That's the only thing because he said Sony. So that's how I knew what he was talking about because that's the only time I had that incident had took place.
Got it.
So the thing is, what I started to hear things that I don't do the hearsay stuff. Like people say things all the time. I don't do the hearsay stuff.
Right.
But I was hearing some things about him that was real racial, like how he treats certain people. And I was like, nah, like for real? And I don't just jump on what people say, but my experience with him and after all of that happened, and when I went to speak to him, that's how it was left. Oh, I didn't know, and it's whatever. And then what I heard afterwards was, well, who cares? Just another black guy. So I was
really,
you got to be kidding me. So
but this was not. Was this Ben Katura?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Ben Katura. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so the point is,
really?
So the point I'm trying to say is to provide more context. There was a time where I was they had brought me up to be the ECA brand ambassador, not ESA, ECA. This is a while ago.
What is ECA? I don't know what that is.
It was the Entertainment Something Association for gamers or something like that. Okay. But even when I did that, all of a sudden these articles pop up about the troubled hip hop gamer, or he comes from this background, and it was just all of these things, and I'm like, why is it that if somebody else do something, it's just celebrated, it's loved, and hey, good work. And then when I do something, it's always something on why I got this.
You know what's really must make you angry, or at least just peripherally being aware makes me angry. So it must make you furious. Your story about your grandmother introducing you to games, and I'm paraphrasing, but help me if I'm wrong. That was one of the main reasons you say she did it, is to kind of keep you out of trouble. And so it gave you something to do and to focus on and all that. Well, that is your to look at games and hold them in such a referential place, and such a place of honor, the medium. And then to have these people who maybe don't come from that same experience acting like where you come from is a place of weakness. I'm like, this motherfucker, this saved him possibly. He loves these things. So, I mean, that must make you angry.
It's not that it makes me angry.
Why not?
It used to make me angry.
Okay.
I had to mature. See, it doesn't make me
You don't think maturity and anger go together?
No.
Interesting.
No.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you why. It's okay to be angry. Be a human. You feel that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the problem is we act so much on our anger that we never actually get the job done that we're trying to accomplish.
That's a great point.
So the thing is, the way I operate is, there's a problem. It's right here, and we can fix this together. Now, this leads into my other thing. I'm going to say this, and then this leads into the other thing to prove more on why I made the video.
Okay.
So I told you, when I was in Virgin Mega Store,
I remember
and
the story.
played God of War for the first time.
Yep.
The way I feel about games, this is stuff that I took back home to Grandma. You know what I'm saying? I was like, Grandma, I played God of War. This game is crazy. And then I told her that I was getting a chance to, meet with you and talk with you and stuff. Like, I got tears in my eyes, like with these things. It really mean that much to me. Yeah. And you mean that much to me. Well, and I want to make sure everybody knows this. So when I see certain people in powerful positions take advantage of it in such horrible, heinous ways, it's like, yo, we got to do better. So what I do is, I don't mind taking all the hits because my skin is thick enough to take it. But there's a goal here. So I'll give you another example of what I'm talking about from a racist standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on. So y'all know Mark Whitten, right? Mark Whitten. He used to work with Xbox.
I don't know him.
He's
what did he do? What did he do?
He used to work with Xbox Live. He was one of the main people that operated Xbox Live.
Okay.
On the Xbox team. Mark Whitten is one of the most amazing people that I've met in this industry.
Okay.
So Mark, he told me, he's like, yo, come back here. So you can interview Peter Molyneux.
Cool.
So I went to go get online and interview Peter Molyneux, right? Now,
if you don't know who that is, at the time, he was the head of EA?
No. This is when they just
not Peter,
Fable.
not Peter Moore, Peter Molyneux.
Peter Molyneux.
Game designer. Yeah.
This is when they first showed off the dog in
Fable.
Fable.
Yep, gotcha. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So I'm online. Now, I'm the only black person online, right? And there's other people behind me. The lady. Now, remember.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Online. You mean you're standing in line?
No, I'm standing online to go interview.
Oh, you're not online. Okay, got it.
No, I'm not online. Yeah. I'm standing online.
Okay, got it.
Behind other journalists.
Yep.
And there's other journalists behind me.
Understood.
So I'm online. Yeah, so I'm online, right? I'm the only black person on this line.
Okay.
So I'm waiting to go talk to him. Because remember, this right here, I forgot what year it was, but it was very, very early, like 2009 or 10 or something like that. It was very, very early. So, and even then, you really didn't see much black people even at E3. I'm just keeping it real.
I think that's true. Yeah, that's right.
It's very true.
Yep.
So what happened is, I'm online, right? And this lady that was, I guess, the publicist or the mouthpiece for Peter Molyneux on who could talk to him or not. So now remember, Mark Whitten brought me in here. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, so this is, come on, I'm official. So she's telling everybody that, hey, we're about to wrap up. So after this, y'all can get offline. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then if we can't do it, we can't do it. Now, I noticed that nobody else left the line. So I ain't gonna leave the line. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody else left. So then she points to me and tells me to get off the line. And I said, excuse me, did I do something wrong? Like, I'm supposed to be here. She's like, no, but we're gonna be wrapping up soon, so we just need you off the line. So I'm like, but there's people behind me. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that we're gonna need you offline.
She did not fucking say that to you.
She did. So then what happened is I made eye contact with Peter Molyneux.
Yeah.
And when he saw me and he saw the belt, he was like, waved at me. And I was like, yo. And then I came over there.
Because he knew you, or he was a wrestling fan?
No, he didn't know me.
He just liked the belt.
He just saw the belt. So he liked the belt. And you know how my energy is. I saw like, like that. Then he looked at me and said, oh, come over. And then I came over, and then I was able to get the interview because he called me over and stuff like that. So, and I think my boy Carl was behind me because I think Carl was filming for me.
What did the woman say when this happened? Who was trying to get you offline?
Yeah, so let me tell you, after I did the interview, she pulls me to the side and said, hey, that was the best interview we had all day. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry.
Amazing.
So I have countless stories like this, but just getting to the point is you want to really know the reason why these things happen.
Yeah.
So let me tell you why these things happen, right? So you have people in a position of power that, think about it like this, ever since we was kids, right? If you look at Nintendo, right? If you look at Sega Genesis, all these commercials and stuff like that, who's in all the commercials?
That's for all the white kids.
Everything, right?
Yep.
Now, if you look at even back then, because this is, if I'm not mistaken, the 70s and 80s, Jerry Lawson.
Right, that's right. Fairchild,
that's
right.
Nobody ever talks about Jerry Lawson.
It was just, that motherfucker just died. It is his 10-year death anniversary last week. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know who Jerry Lawson is and you know who Nolan Bushnell is, shame on you. That's all I'll say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my thing is, everybody talks about everybody else, but the people that really, because if it wasn't for Jerry Lawson, we ain't having none of this stuff.
That's
right.
right.
So I don't hear nothing.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
when
right.
it comes to the cartridge and stuff like that. So the point I'm trying to say is,
if you don't know, A, shame on you. B, he's the guy who invented the Fairchild, which was the first ever video game console that actually allowed you to swap cartridges, which really gave one of the key pillars that gave rise to what we love today. Okay.
Thank you. So, because now think about this,
and he's a black guy. He's a black guy.
And, yeah, he's black. So my thing is, even back then, if you read his story, he'll tell you that people didn't expect someone like him to have the knowledge to do what he's doing and to make the impact that he's making. So the thing is, if more people got a chance to know that a black person did this and made this impact, it's going to cause problems with the message of representation that they want to share to make it seem like only these kind of people do this. You understand what I'm saying? Being a white person. So now let's dive a little deeper. You following me? So now let's dive a little deeper.
Yeah.
So now that we got that clear, every game award or video game award, game awards, or never celebrated him ever. On the biggest stage, never celebrated him ever. But it takes for a black person to die to start getting some sort of representation. Because when George Floyd died, that's what they call in the Floyd curve now. Now, all of a sudden, all these companies collectively at the same time got enough money for diversity and inclusion, investments, and all this other stuff. Let's put black people here, let's do this, let's market that. Because now it's a checklist and it's a cool thing to do. But let me tell you something, David, because this is what a lot of people don't know. And remember, the reason why I know all this other stuff is because I work in every area of the industry. From the front to the middle to the back, I'm in part of every area of the industry. A lot of this, to chat right now, a lot of stuff that you see happening, I'm a part of. Like if you look at certain things, for example, if you look at like Facebook's Play a Part Together and how they get celebrities together and all this other stuff, I was a part of all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I do this at a high level. So the point I'm trying to say is, so I'm sorry, I almost lost my train of thought. I'm getting into it. So here's what I wanted to share with you. So because of all these things happening, and now you got all these diversity and inclusion stuff, the reason why you see this is because companies was told, like, let's say you have a budget of $2 million, right?
Okay.
You won't get this full budget unless you have some sort of diversity and inclusion and you targeting black people and Asians and everybody. If you're not targeting that, your budget gets cut to like $400,000 and you work with what you work with for the year. Which is going to impact your bottom line.
Why do you think the companies? What I'm looking for on my computer, just so you know, I'm looking. Here it is, right here. I don't know if you can see your screen. This is what Sony put out with the when the George Floyd verdict from that racist cop came down.
Right.
We stand with the black community as the verdict has been reached in the George Floyd trial. This is a step, but there's much more to be done. Together with Sony Group, Sony Interactive will remain committed to addressing racial inequality and driving meaningful change. So. Right. First off, I think I found it absurd that it's like we stand with the black community. It's like, motherfucker, this was not, yes, it was a racial issue, but we all, anybody with a heart wants George Floyd's murderer to be put in fucking jail. But
you felt that.
That's right. But when you see something like this, does it feel just performative to you, or do you think a company like Sony is actually doing something? Bro,
listen. See, here's my thing. For all these companies to do that, so what happened to Sean Bell? Like, you know, like 10 years ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? When he got shot 45 times sitting in his car.
Right.
Like, what happened to all the stuff? This ain't new.
No.
This ain't nothing new.
No.
So why do it now? And why is everybody doing the same thing at the same time? It's a company-wide thing. You understand what I'm saying? And
well, so it's PR then, is what you would say. Most of it's PR,
Yes, and this is what I'm saying. When you look at the numbers of consumption on how much we consume, and just to give you more accuracy, right? Globally around the world, minorities make up 67% of all game spending in the world. Globally, look that one up.
Oh, I believe you.
So the point I'm trying to say, and why I made the video is.
Well, wait. How do you define minorities if you're talking around the world? In China,
okay, so predominantly black people, like that. But when I say minorities, I'm also talking about like people that's in minority situations, that's poor and don't have funds and stuff like that.
Okay, so they could be white, Asian. Okay, yeah. I mean, what I know is absolutely. The stats in America it was instant. It was like, of course. So sorry, go ahead. So how is that? You're saying that relates to Sony doing this to say we don't want to lose that base?
Yeah. So now that you have so much stuff going on, and this was felt around the world, it's kind of like the high school thing. If you're not doing this, then you're not cool. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to do this. You have to have this in your joint. So, and I want to take time out because I always do this. So Logitech, right? Logitech back in 2017, that's when we came together to make powerful moves in the community. Forget selling headsets and all this other stuff. In the community, we came together, and me, Logitech, and my partner Tavon Skinner, who owns Craft Keepers Inc., we came together and formed Gaming and Guidance, and we've been doing these things for years.
Is that when you go into the classrooms and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've been doing this. So Logitech is one of those companies that's been down for it way before it was the so-called cool thing to do. All right. I just want to make that clear.
Does Sony, again, I don't know this. I'm not saying they don't. I'm not casting any stones at Sony or Microsoft or any of them. But do these companies not do any of that sort of outreach to underserved communities with their games? And I know they do with the military. Not that that's the same thing, but I know there are groups that they say, hey, let's get our games overseas where the soldiers are because, you know, this is a good thing to do. But I mean...
Yeah, but like Sony, like these companies have little things that they do.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, they do have these little things that they do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to empowering, investing, putting your money where your mouth is, to put people in positions to be successful that are black, that wasn't happening at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now let me bring you more insight so you can understand why this is important. So when they was doing Fable 3, I think Fable 3 or the next Fable that they were supposed to do. So behind the scenes, right? Like I said, I get access to stuff. They didn't want a black female on the front cover of Fable. And that's what people was wondering, where's the next Fable? Why isn't it coming out and everything? That was a big dispute. They didn't want a black female on the front cover of Fable. They said if you put a black...
Educate me for a minute, though, on Fable, because I honestly have never played Fable. So Fable is an RPG, action RPG, but in that game, do you make your own character, or is there a locked protagonist? In Fable 2, it was a black woman.
Yeah, no. So what the point I'm trying to make when it comes to that, so you can understand the context, is that the box art, what people see before they get a chance to play, that's what's going to sell something. You understand what I mean?
I do. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like it was a black woman who was the only protagonist and they chose not to put her on the box. There's
no black woman in the game. No.
You can't make a black woman custom character in that game? So
not in the one that they was trying to...
Well, why would they want to put a black woman on the cover of the game?
It wouldn't sell.
There's no black woman in the game.
No, you're not.
I'm clearly not understanding.
Yeah. So let me make it clear.
Yes,
right?
please.
So if you look, you see how you look at a game like Cyberpunk?
Yes.
How you can make your character, you can change the color of
That's
their skin
right.
and everything
All
in the
it.
game.
Yes.
You customize. What do you see on the front cover?
A white dude with a gun and a trench coat.
Okay,
or an alternate cover, which is kind of a sexy white woman, or maybe Asian. I think she's a white woman with a gun.
Now, let's go to what's the name? Call of Duty. Call of Duty been out since 2003.
Yeah.
It's 2021.
Never seen a black dude. Never. I don't think so. Have you?
No, never, ever. And that's one of the most prominent games, period.
Yeah,
the only time you see a black person on the front cover of these games is if it's something that represents thug stuff, Grand Theft Auto, thug stuff, or sports, because that's based off reality.
Okay. Or come on now. Throw me some fucking street cred, motherfucker. Come on now. Who was on the cover of Twisted Metal 2, motherfucker?
Yeah, Twisted, well, you,
Axel.
of course.
No, not me, Axel. God damn it.
Yeah,
big,
Axel.
Big black dude.
But what I'm saying is with them arms, yeah, of course,
and then,
bro. Like,
and then who was on the cover of Starhawk?
Starhawk, yeah, a black dude.
That's right.
That's great.
I know, I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, you're right, though, and I'll tell you something else that fascinates me. I don't know what the stats are, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn the stats for most people who are enrolled in the military are probably not Caucasian dudes. I could be wrong on that. I could be totally wrong on that. But you would think I know there's a lot of black folks and Hispanic folks in the American military. You'd think at that point somebody would make the cover after all these years of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. It's a great point.
So the point I'm trying to say is I could count on my hand.
Yeah.
How many over the course of the entirety of gaming history.
Yeah.
I could count on my hand how many times you have saw a black person on the front cover of something in comparison to standard So when I say representation, how is it that we are the most consuming, yet the less represented?
Well, you're not. Just so people listening are clear, you're the most consuming, but you're not the biggest share of the pie, right? So
not the biggest share of the pie,
right? So I guess
the biggest face.
Well, that's true, of course. But in terms of Sony doesn't make most of their money from black people. Right, because it's you could if somebody's listening to that, they could hear that stat and go, "You're telling me the most money spent, all the money, most of it comes from black culture or Hispanic culture or whatever." It's like, no, because people, at least in America, I think the majority of people in America are white. It's like 52% or 51%, and then it breaks down to African. So, but I just want to be clear what you're saying, and I think that's what I read on the stats is that. If you basically on a race by race basis, though, black people play more games and spend more money
than everybody else. Yes.
Right. That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when it comes to ethnic group,
yeah,
black people spend the most and play the most.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
And even if got it.
That's what I'm saying. So my thing is, if this ethnic group is that much invested, why is it when it comes to representation? It's so minuscule. It's not right. It doesn't make any sense. But why is that? And it's been the same way since Nintendo Power and all this other stuff and all the commercials you see. And if you don't see us, what do you think? We don't belong there? Or why would these companies talk to us or target us or help us get in positions to help us grow if it appears that we're not even involved? But when it comes to Madden and it comes to NBA 2K and all this other stuff, let's get Snoop Dogg because we need somebody to dance and rap. And
but
stuff.
Do you think that's racism or racism is baked into the cake of America? People get mad at me when I say that, but it's fucking true. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
If you want to deny it all day. I don't give a fuck. You're wrong.
Okay.
But do you think that mentality though stems more from racism, like overt racism, or business?
No, it's two things. It's two things involved. And I learned this because of conversations that I've had.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't even aware because they just go along with what they see. So because they go along with what they see, they don't challenge it. They just show up, do their work, and call it a day.
That's exactly. So I got to speak to that. I got to speak to that because what you're saying to me, I consider myself what the kids like to call, and I know it's an offensive term to some people, woke. Okay, I'm very progressive, a social justice warrior, blah blah blah. I'm a proud member of all that shit. But even stuff you're saying to me, just because it's not on my radar, I'm like, you know what? You're goddamn right. I've never seen a black person or a Hispanic person on a Call of Duty cover. That's an absurd concept given how many people in the military are fucking African American. But it never, it wasn't racist that I didn't think about it, or it probably was because again, it
wasn't. Cause
it wasn't mean racism, but it's baked into what we are as a culture. We can't help but not have it affect our decisions. And so until you pointed it out, I never would have thought about it.
Exactly. So my point is, I'm just trying to get to a point where things are fair.
Yeah.
So everybody have an equal shot. So I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if you ever seen this video, but there was this video where this guy, he had a lot of people lined up.
I did see this video.
It was a race. And he said, if you grew up in a home with both of your parents, take 5 steps forward and all this other stuff. So,
but it was all these things. It was growing up in a home, skin color, money, all these things let those people. And before they did any of that, they asked the people, "Do you think America is mostly a fair place?" And everyone raised their hand, right? And then as he started asking these questions, a bunch of people were left on the starting line while a bunch of other people were like 20 feet, 30, 100 yards away. And suddenly it's like, that's what I mean when it's baked into the cake. It's like, it's not that you're walking around wearing a KKK hood. It's that you can't help but benefit from racism unless if you're a white person born and living in America. You just can't.
Yeah, so my point is, I'm not here to be like, yo, like, I don't like y'all. That's not in my heart.
I understand.
I'm not this. My goal is to make things fair, but you can't make it fair unless you have the conversation and bring attention to it so people that are in positions of power can start to help with the change making.
Yeah.
To make it more fair. That's the whole point of me making this video is if I type this in, let's say you got a company, I don't care who it is, it could be Butterfinger, it could be Procter and Gamble, it could be anything, right? And they looking for a top gaming journalist for a show they're doing or whatever it is. You're never going to see us. So
I have never seen you. Let me fucking tell you something right now, Gerard. It was fun. What's funny about when I'll tell people the story in a minute, but I have been to a bunch of these fucking award shows. I have been to all of these fucking E3 or a lot of these E3 press conferences. And most of the people, not all of them, something like Tim Schafer was hilarious when they had him host the GDC Awards. Greg Miller's had some good shows he's done. To put you on a stage to host one of these award shows would be awesome because you've got that energy, you've got that charisma, you've got that presence of self when you stand in front of an audience. And it's bizarre that they've never asked you to do any of those things. Or if they have, you've said no, I don't know.
No, they never have asked me. Not one, but there's other things. There's other stuff I can tell you, bro. Like there's man, what? It's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad. It's really sad because there's people that I speak to behind the scenes that I will never release their name, but they personally came and told me, they're like, yo, look, hip hop. There's a lot of things that's going on. I'm not trying to start anything, but keep going, bro. I know you're gonna make it, but there's some people that's doing foul things to you. So I'm gonna give you an example of something else. So you see how you have NeoGaf, right? Mm-hmm. So, I wanted to put my content on NeoGaf just like how I was putting my content on N4G because people was telling me like, yo.
Just so I'm clear, you mean just posting in their forum? There's no. It's not. Okay.
Yeah, posting in the forums, right?
Yeah.
So this is years ago. So what happened is, I saw Angry Joe put stuff up there. I seen Giant Bomb. I see so many people put their stuff up there, right? So I said, okay, let me put my stuff up there. And then when I put my stuff up there, I was told to take it down. And I said, did I do anything wrong? What happened? And stuff like that. They said, oh, you're not allowed to put your own stuff up there. You can't promote yourself. But if somebody else did it on your behalf, then that's cool. I said, okay, fine. You're not supposed to self-promote, okay? Because I'm seeing a whole bunch of it. That's why I did it.
Right.
So, but that's what was told to me. So I said, okay, fine. And then somebody else that's a fan started putting up my links and put like a whole hip hop gamer thread up there.
Right.
And then that came down. And then they threatened to ban him if he was to put anything up.
Why? Did they ever say why?
So he told me that. I asked him, yo, did they ever tell you why? He's like, nah, but they said if I support hip hop gamer, I could get banned. So I said, wait, this doesn't make any sense. So the person that owns NeoGaf,
right.
I think his name is Eric, if I'm not mistaken, Eric or Nuology.
What do they call him? Lore, Evil Lore is
Evil Lore. I think it was Evil Lore, right? Yeah. I met him at Michael Packer's party one day.
Okay.
Right, and I asked him about this, like, why is that? And I told him, because I put it up, and he said, nah, He said this way told me you're not supposed to self-promote. I said, okay, but Angry Joe got all this stuff up there. I see all these people. How's it they can do it and you can't? And then no, I said, how come they can do it?
Right, and I can't.
And I can't. Like, I don't understand. And he was like, oh well, that's weird. I'll get back to you, and brushed me off.
Okay, and he never got back to you?
Never spoke to him. Never got back to him. Anything. So. The point I'm trying to say is this.
Do you know what? Well, go ahead. Yeah, please.
David, even your stuff is on NeoGaf right now.
I started posting my stuff on NeoGaf, and some people came at me, and I said, yeah, I'll take it down. I don't care. And people came and said, no, everyone self-promotes as long as it's not obnoxious. So that may have changed because they've gone through this. But this was like less than a year ago. And you know, they had that big split, and it became a reset era and NeoGaf. Yeah. So I don't know what has changed, but certainly yes, my stuff is on there now, and I put it up there.
Yeah. So now the point I'm trying to make
what you should do is go right after and put something up, and if they take it down, let's talk again. We'll get Evil Lore on the show and say what the fuck. But
what's going on?
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to say is, I use my life experience within this industry to prove my point. So when I make this video, this is not something that is oblivious to everyone. A lot of people purposely knows what's going on, but the thing is, you have certain people in positions of power that's still stuck in their old ways.
Yeah.
when it comes to the way they view people, the way they view black people, the way they view the world. Yeah. They still have that same 1930s and 40s mentality. Because if you look back and see who
1830s.
Yeah, if you look back and see who owns a lot of these companies that's doing stuff, then it starts to make sense on why this stuff is still happening.
Well, be specific. What do you mean? Who owns these companies?
Okay, cool. So if you go, if you do research on, like for example, right? Do you remember that company, the World Health Organization?
Of course.
The WHO.
Well, that's not a company, but yeah, the organization.
No, I know, but I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
So Mike Schneider, right? I forgot what tech outlet he writes for.
Okay.
But the World Health Organization
USA Today, right? Mike Snyder?
Yeah, I think it's USA Today. I think it's USA. So he did an article, right? And it said, he's gaming is a sickness, and people need to be careful about playing games. It's not good for you and all this other stuff.
It was based on what the World Health Organization said.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, literally, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 months later, they come out and say, well, this new case study is amazing because gaming, it teaches kids and their hand-eye coordination is better and they're growing so well in school because of these games they're playing. Let's all support. But in reality, they was getting money to talk about that so they could be sponsors for events and stuff like that. So they get money on the back end.
Interesting.
So my thing is, and I know this because it came to me. Like, that's how I found out.
Did you break that story?
No. Mike Schneider broke the story. I just spoke on it because he put out the before and after on how they switched their stance. And I got the information on a money situation on the back end.
Yeah.
And stuff like that because let's just say it came through my emails.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So the point is, that's what I'm saying. If there's a benefit for everybody from a bottom dollar sign, then that's what they care about, and it's not as genuine as they try to make it seem on the shell of it all. So, and that's what I'm just trying to change. I want people to see that if you Google type top gaming journalists or whatever it is, there's a major problem with how we move in the industry for us not to have any representation on that level. And now, think about this: Greg Miller had to leave an organization so he could start his own thing, so he can bring on Blessing. And now they got Paris on there and all these other things. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
But let's talk about that a little bit because it goes a little deeper, right? It goes because even within game journalists, there's cliques. There is this, and I have never been a supporter of proper Gamergate at all. I found I found a number of things super problematic, although there were fundamental things that like who would disagree with, who doesn't want better journalism, who doesn't want to support women in gaming, but then but the point being though is one of the things that I was skeptical about, but I have since started to go, well, maybe that's not entirely untrue, is that there are a number of game journalists that really do seem to be very inclusive, and they've circled the wagons, and if you're not in their little club, they really have a problem with you, right? That's what I have recognized, right? And so even when you talk about Greg Miller, who I like a lot, Greg's a good dude. I love Greg.
That's my guy.
But the fact that, again, I don't know, and even if I did, I wouldn't go into the nuance, but, the story that was floated is Colin Moriarty, who I think is amazing, puts out this funny tweet, or not funny, but kind of stupid, benign tweet on International Women's Day. And that was the thing that made Kind of Funny say, you're no longer Kind of Funny material, right? And so it's not just the racist thing so much as it almost seems like a lot of these guys and ladies have a very specific list of check boxes that if you don't fall into line, because I want to show you something, and
put me on.
I want to show you something because the very nature of me talking about this is probably going to make me come off as racist, but I don't really care. Because I think there's truth to it, right? I had never heard, when I was growing up, it was called Ebonics, but now I think it's called African American AAVS, I think, which basically...
What? I never heard of that.
Yeah, here it is right here.
I heard that.
African American Vernacular English is what it's called, The official,
Are
right?
you serious?
Yeah, well, it's yeah. I mean, that's
Yo, bro, I never even heard of that.
okay. But
Ebonics,
you've heard of
that.
Ebonics. It's basically the same thing.
Same
it's a
thing.
variety of
Okay.
English natively spoken, particularly in urban communities, by working and middle class African Americans, Black Canadians, right? And it's kind of the barbershop talk, right?
Yeah.
And it's the talk that I hear, not just what they're talking about, but the cadence and the language, the use of the language, and the adjusting of the language. Some people think it comes from like Southern Creole and things like, but no, who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, right.
So what's been interesting to me to watch, especially in light of this conversation, is when you do point to the prominent Black folks in the industry that I know. Like, and I brought these up, and I'm not throwing stones. I'm just curious as to what your perspective is, right? So this, just for a moment, this is Blessing talking to Greg Miller, okay?
Okay.
I see so many best friends and community members and just, audience members in general go out and try to do this, and it's that thing that it will test you over and over and over again of how bad do you want this, because it's so hard to make this.
Yeah, put me on, because I don't know what happened.
And that's been my thing, right? Of like, I've had to justify it to myself multiple ways, right? Where like, yeah, this is gonna be my portfolio so that I can apply to larger places. But at the same time, I want to build this into its own bigger thing in case applying to other places doesn't work.
Okay, so that is Blessing. This is Paris. Listen to Paris.
No, wait, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't hear it, bro.
Oh, you didn't hear anything. Oh shit.
How do I?
You got to listen to the stream. Let me. No. Let me get this to you. You need to hear this. How do I get this to you?
Because what I was gonna do is I was gonna
do you
play
have
the stream.
do me a favor, mute yourself and play the stream. You'll hear it.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, here we go. I'll play that again real quick, and then I'm gonna go to Paris. Here we go.
From 30 different people, like there's no way to do that. So I feel now more than ever, go out and try to, because it's so hard.
I've had to justify it to myself multiple ways, right? Where like, yeah, this is gonna be my portfolio so that I can apply to larger places. But at the same time, I want to build this into its own bigger thing in case applying to other places doesn't work. At the same time, I am doing this to build my own skill, to get better at video editing, to get better at podcasting, to get better at doing everything.
Okay, so that's him. This is Paris.
We're gonna get those games day one. They continue to make these deals with third-party companies for either a limited time, bring some of their games to the service as well. Content is king. This is what Netflix has done. This is what Disney Plus has done. What did Netflix do a few years ago?
Okay, that is Paris. This is Jason McDonald, one of the key designers on the God of War franchise. I worked with him on God of War 1. He is one of the key brains behind what makes that series so great. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's a wonderful GDC talk he did about the camera and combat in the new God of War. The guy... hang on. I want you to hear this one too, though.
No, I have to stop you.
Okay, go ahead.
Because, see, what's happening is I can't hear it properly because of the time delay. So when you're playing it and I'm listening back, it's like stepping on top of each other. So if you could send... If there's a way where I can hear it, if you could share your screen
I'm gonna give
Zoom.
it. You know what I'm gonna do?
We can play it like that. We can do it like that. That'll work.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you're watching.
Ain't no sorry. We going.
No. I'm not sorry to you or me. I'm sorry to the audience because they got to hear it again. But I'm like, fuck it. I don't care because it's important.
All right, cool. Let's go. Yeah, let me know. And everybody in the audience, one love and God bless. Whether you agree or disagree, whatever it is, the goal is to try to make things better and fair, so we all collectively can do what we need to do.
I'm sure the audience.
So let's go, baby.
I'm not even reading the audience right now. Okay, can you see Paris on your screen?
Hey, listen.
I'm gonna mute myself. Here we. Share audio. Okay, hang on. God damn it.
Yeah, because you got to stop share and then share again. But when you do it, make sure you hit share audio so I can hear it.
Tell me if you can hear him.
King. This is what Netflix has done. This is what Disney Plus has done. What did Netflix?
So you gotta stop share.
Yep.
And then hit the share button again. But when you hit it, after you hit the share sound, then it'll work.
Okay. So
so you gotta go back, share again. Yeah.
Share again. People are like, Jeff, you're a fucking moron. I can't help it. I can't help it. You fucks. Hang on. I need a producer for the love of God. Is this Zoom?
Let's do it a few years ago. They started betting.
The fuck did it go? Where'd my
it.
fucking Zoom screen go, motherfuckers? Hang on. Oh, there it is. It's so tiny. It's way over there. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Share screen. Here we go.
Yep.
Okay. Share screen. I see share screen. Where's share audio? Just hit. Share sound. I gotcha.
Share sound. You see it?
Here we go. Here's Paris.
All right.
And they
No,
invested billions of dollars.
I hear it, but I didn't hear what's the name though.
I'll go back.
Content.
All right.
Now, while the Outriders deal isn't original content, it supplements what Microsoft is going to be able to do from an internal studio standpoint. We've obviously seen they spent $7 billion to bring in Bethesda to add to that, and look at the instant value we got to Game Pass just last week with 20 Bethesda titles coming. We know future content.
Paris, this is a blessing. Okay.
Right.
Over and over and over again of how bad
thing, right? Of like, I've had to justify it to myself multiple ways, right? Where like, yeah, this is gonna be my portfolio so that I can apply to larger places. But at the same time, I want to build this into its own bigger thing in case applying to other places doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the new kind of funny guy, and then this is Jason McDonald, who again, this is a great fucking speech.
Yeah, I love Jason. Yeah, I love Jason.
Some time to get to a powerful finisher. A shorter combo would get there faster. And that might make it feel a bit more punchy, powerful. It would also work better with a tight camera, since it would be a shorter period of time locked into an extended combo sequence, vulnerable to attacks from the sides.
Okay, great video, great talk, genius guy. Right. But okay, now this is let me find them. These are some of the podcasts I was talking about that I listened to. This is I think this is Z's show. I think this is this is 720 and his crew that do a show.
The
Right.
Dummy 55 was good.
Bro.
Who else we got? Judah
Yeah, that's
Rising
Jen.
in the house.
Yeah, that's the dude next gen.
Cree Ross coming here to start.
Oh, y'all forget my man Judah Rise. I'm like, my kids speak 7 languages. That was my man from last show.
Right.
They did all their math calculations in the cloud. No need for a calculator.
Okay, so he's great. I love that guy. And then this is in the Weapon Wheel podcast, who I've had issues with, but overall I think they're real smart. They're not as far into that as Next Gen, but
go, hold on, this thing's about to be over. Where's the tournament? And then you realize, hold on, this is just a prequel, and the tournament's a whole nother movie. They messed up right there. That's where they started just going wrong. The movie wasn't bad, but they needed it.
Okay, so they're talking about Mortal Kombat. So the reason I'm even showing you this and bringing this up is because I could see some people going, I think it's called code switching, right? Where if you are a minority, when you get around the majority, which at least in video games are a bunch of white people, you change.
So let me,
in order to fit in. Do you think, like, how much is that at play where people look at you and say, well, dude, you don't make white people comfortable enough because you sound street, or Z sounds street. That's scary, right? You're scaring Jason Schreier. Stop scaring him. Or is it just overt racism? I mean, because there's something weird, right? The prominent guys I can show you in design, of which sadly, tragically, there are very few, in media, of which sadly there are very few, they're either as white as, and this exists, they're either as white as Urkel from Family Matters, or they're code switching. At which point, even if they're black, how are you going? And I'm not saying all black people do the AAVE.
Yeah, no, I got
you. But what? How do you? Is it just a skin color thing, or is it a culture thing that's not being represented? Because they're black.
Yo, David.
Yeah.
I'm about to put you on to everything right now.
Yeah,
son,
tell
you
me.
Ready?
Yeah.
I bet. So like in the hood, you know, I'm coming up.
Yeah.
So let's say you on the phone, right? And you talking with your boys, like, yo, what up, son? What's poppin', son? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What's good? You know what I mean? That's how we talk, right?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get a job,
Well, just so I'm clear, that's how we talk, meaning people in the hood. You don't mean black
in the
people.
hood, black people in the hood. Where I grew up, I'm speaking for me. You know
But how much? Yeah, but how much of it is a hood thing, and how much of it is a black thing in America?
It's all in the same.
Okay, so if you're a suburban kid living in San Diego and you're black, you're still talking that way.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're part of the culture where that comes from. So, for example, right? Let's say you're a white kid, but you happen to grew up in Bed-Stuy.
You'll still
what I'm
talk
saying?
that way,
And
yeah.
you'll still talk that way, even though you're white, because this is what you was raised around. This is what
Okay.
you brought up by. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you're gonna talk like that, and then people that don't know is gonna look at you like, why he trying to act like, nah, this is really him because
Yep.
he came up with us.
Yep.
So what it is when me in the hood, we talking the barbershop talk and everything like that. It's like, yo, what's going on, son? Blah blah blah. Like, this is how we talk. We know what we mean when we say what we say. But if you trying to get a job,
Yeah.
and you go to that office, you go to a bank, whatever. Hi, my name is Gerard Williams. Yes, I work down to like everything is different. All
Right.
that so-called ghetto hood stuff, ebonic stuff, go out the window, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna tell you something so you can understand why there's only one hip hop gamer
Yeah.
ever. Like, this is why I'm polarizing and everything like that.
Yeah.
They never talk about what I say.
Don't
They
put
talk about how
don't put polarizing in quotes. You are polarizing. No, you're not
Oh,
polarizing.
well, yeah.
You're
No, no, I got you, I got you.
own that shit.
Yeah.
You're polarizing.
I get you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
am. But
that's right.
but I want to provide the context.
All right,
to it,
go
right?
ahead.
So whenever I do interviews or anything, nobody never question what I'm actually saying and what I'm pulling out of the audience and stuff like that. They love it because they never heard nobody else get this level of information like how I was able to get it.
Okay.
Because I know what I'm talking about. I know the industry. But and I know the games. Like, I play everything. I study. You know what I'm saying? I do tons of research, bro.
Yeah.
So they never question that. But the way I talk in the delivery and all this other stuff,
It throws
why
them.
he has to be so unprofessional. I'm unprofessional because the way I ain't curse, I ain't disrespect nobody.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying, and I got the information. So what's the problem? See, the
Yeah.
problem-
Professionalism is another fucking code word for racism. It's act the
Exactly.
way that I'm comfortable, and if you
Yeah.
don't, it's not professional. It's a horseshit
Yeah.
word. It's a horseshit word.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because let me tell you what happened, right?
Yeah.
So when I was younger, growing up, my uncle, shout out to my uncle Rufus, love my uncle Rufus, right? So my uncle always told me, when you get in certain settings, you gotta put a suit on, do this, do that, or talk like this, talk like that, because you want to get the job, you want to get this. And as I was getting older, I was like, yo, I can't live my life like this,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that don't know what I know, but yeah, they may get the job because of a look, but then they get fired because they got hired because of a look and the way they talk, but they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, when you get them on the actual job, and then it's dumb to me. Like, I'm not going. No, David, if I'm somebody that got $20 million and you come to me saying that you're gonna make another game, like, I don't care if you don't talk like this, like a so-called game developer is supposed to talk. You know your stuff. Here's the bread. Make it happen. Let's go. We out here. You know what I mean? That's how I am. So when I came in the industry, right, like, that stopped everything. You want to know why? Because how is it that this dude from the hood talking the way he talk, look the way he look? Because my image is the image of a thug. That's the way America would put it.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right.
So the thing is, how is it that this thug black dude from the hood is getting interviews with Hideo Kojima, getting interviews with Morgan Freeman and Kevin Hart and Tyler Perry and Scarlett Johansson and Hulk Hogan and all these other people?
You did a great interview with about gaming. She was a real hot star, female star.
Scarlett Johansson.
Was that and you guys were talking Street
yeah.
Fighter or Nintendo or something?
Yeah, Street Fighter.
That's right.
And you know what's so funny? When I talked to her, she was big on Street Fighter, and she was big on Busta Rhymes and Nas. And when she loved it, everybody's like, "Oh, Scarlett Johansson loved Busta Rhymes and Nas." Then
Right.
it was cool to love us,
Yeah.
because she liked it. But outside of that, that's not cool. That ain't you understand what I'm saying? So my
do.
thing is, I know the code switch. That's putting on that what we call in the hood is putting on your white voice.
Right.
Talking to white people so you can make them feel comfortable. That's what that's called.
So
But when I'm trying to
how do you expect to get representation, at least of your experience of the black community, if the only people, and maybe this is not accurate, but it seems to me the only people who are black who are out in the world of video games are code switching, right? I mean,
Now here's what I would say. I've known Paris for since 2008,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. He's always had that soft-spoken.
okay, so he's
persona. So
yeah.
I
So
wouldn't say
when
he's
the
code
door
switching.
shuts, he's not talking.
Yeah, he's like that.
Yeah, okay.
Like he's always been like that.
And by the way, Jason probably as well, and I don't know Blessing. These guys may just,
I don't know Blessing. They may just be like that. But here's where the issue lies. Somebody on the outside looking in, right?
Right.
Be like, oh wow, they black and they fit the safe profile of what we want too, because the way they talk. So let's bring them on. So we checking the box of black, and we checking the box of they still sound like what we would consider professional. Right. So that goes. Like, for example, Paris will tell you himself. Paris will get so many tweets about, wow, like, I didn't know you were so well spoken. Because if you hear him and don't see him, you would think he was a white guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you see him, you like, this big brolic black dude sound like that. That's what it is.
Yeah. No, I know. And the other thing about, I also noticed with Paris, and it's not that other people don't get shit. I've seen Alana Pierce get shit. I'm sorry.
I understand what you're saying. You had to hear the question. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Is that your wife?
No, yeah,
Put your wife on. I'm talking to your wife. Okay. But so Alana Pierce. Go ahead.
Check it out. This is good, because what she was saying, speaking proper doesn't mean speaking white. And that's right. That's true. Just because you speak proper doesn't mean you're trying to speak white. No. What I'm trying to say, and you can even see it in the movies, in the hood, like movies coming up and stuff like that. Like our energy and the way we like approach things, like that aggression, like whatever, like that. But for example, there's a part in Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. There's a part where they was investigating his house, right? And they was up in like suburbs and stuff. So they going in the house, and Will Smith was like, "Hello, don't be alarmed, we're Negroes."
Oh right, I remember that. Yeah.
And then he was like, "Nah, you can't talk like that. Too much bass in your voice. You gotta sound like them." And he was like, we was wondering if you could borrow some brown sugar."
Right. I remember that. That's right. That's right.
The joke of it, but that's where it comes from. But the fact is, speaking proper doesn't mean speaking white. It means you speak proper, and that's great. I articulate very well. Like you can put me in any setting. I know how to talk. I know how to have the same aggression, and you know what I'm saying. So I get it, but I don't look at that as code switching, because I know Paris for years. That's him.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But do you think that is why, whether Jason McDonald and Paris and Blessing, whether or not it's code switching or whether or not that's just them, the fact that they are comfortable black people for white people is why they are in those positions, and other folks like yourself. I mean, you must look at Blessing and Paris and go, what the fuck? I've been at this longer. I'm not in the stratosphere that those guys are right now. I mean, am I wrong in saying that?
No, yeah, you're wrong. I don't look at it like that. See, the thing is with me, when you're comfortable within yourself and you doing your thing, like that's all that matters. Like I'm happy for all of them. Like you should see, I'm always the first to be like, yo, son, this is fire, son. I even responded to Blessing like, yo, this is fire, son. Like I love that.
So has it ever occurred to you? Have you ever considered, if you tone down Hip Hop Gamer, you could get more work and you could be more prominent? Is that ever crossed your mind?
No, because I'm already there, bro. Like I'm partnered with Hot 97. I'm partnered with Logitech G.
Yeah.
I'm doing commercials. I'm good. Like I'm doing tons of stuff on my own.
I know, but if you are, then why do you care if there's not a prominent black journalist?
Oh, no. It's not about a prominent black journalist. What I care about is representation and fairness in the space, because I care about it. See, the thing is, this isn't a selfish video. I made this video for everybody to see.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. It didn't come off as selfish.
It's not a selfish video. I never spoke about, even in the video, I wasn't speaking about myself only. I said all these names in the video too.
You did.
Because someone like a Godfrey, in my opinion, should have been doing certain things as big as Game Attack Radio is. And when I see certain things go down, I'm like, yo, this is bull. Ain't no way in the world you're gonna overlook these people. Like, it's not about, I'm good, I'm growing, I'm always doing amazing things. Remember, I've always been independent.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. You have a son, right?
Yes.
Let's say your son, as he gets older, says, Dad, I wanna go into games journalism. Okay, and I want to be successful, and I've never met your son. I don't know kind of what how he presents himself, but let's assume he's a spitting image of his papa.
Yes.
And would you tell him, if you really want to go further and you want to be able to make some good money and take care of your family, you probably do want to put on your white voice like Martin
No.
Lawrence, or would you
No.
say don't do that?
No, I would never tell you to do that. Listen, let me tell you something. The moment you start compromising anything about yourself, you will always be shorthanded in your life.
Okay.
And you're gonna deal with a lot of regret. You're gonna be miserable. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me at
I
Michael
agree.
Packers party.
Go ahead. But I want to come back to. I want to come back to this though.
Come back to
yeah,
that, though.
but go ahead.
So don't forget.
I won't.
So at Michael Packers party, right? There was a gentleman. He used to work for IGN, right? He used to work for IGN and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, I think his name. Oh my God. Oh man, this is like in 2017, I think. But I don't remember his name. But he came up to me. He was like, "Yo, bro." Well, he didn't say "Yo, bro." He was like, "Hip hop? Can I call you hip hop?" You say it was like that. And he was like, "Yo, I just want to tell you, man. Like, keep going, dude. Like, I watch your stuff all the time,
Right.
and I seen how N4G treated you. I seen a lot of things, but you kept going. And I just want to tell you something, man. Like, sorry to bother, but you know, the way I got my job and stuff, I had to like fake it till you make it. Like, I know what that life is like. And now that it's cool to be independent and it's cool to
Was this a black guy? Was it a black guy or not?
It's a white guy. It's
White
a white
guy.
guy.
Okay.
And he's like, now that it's cool to be independent and it's cool to do all this other stuff, now I'm trying to do my thing. But now the real me, people think is fake. Because I was fake for so long,
Right,
and that's how
right.
I got my job.
Right.
So the thing is, like, relating to what you said about my son, that's the problem. Like, bro, I've been able to break so many barriers, do things my way, partner with people, because my character, who I am as a person, is where the value at. Yo, David, I have a quote that I created. It's called "Character is your currency."
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it again. Character is your currency.
Right.
Who you are is the value, and
Yeah, that's-
everything else is
That's
and
been
everything else
that.
is
Look,
a
man,
byproduct.
that's been my experience, and I think that's why a lot of these guys, you know, and a lot of them, frankly, are white that are trying to go independent, don't really make it all that well because they really are just being like what's come before, and they don't really seem to be genuine. But the thing is, though, then how do you get? Like, would then where are you not represented then? If you would tell your son to do what he's doing, and you would tell you to keep doing what you're doing because your character is your currency, then you've got, you know, if 20 years from now the entire landscape or the vast majority of the mainstream game journalist landscape had more people that spoke like Paris and Jason and Blessing, would you say, good, we've achieved the goal?
No, what I would say is build your own. So, see, the thing is, not everybody's like me, David. Not everybody's like you.
I know.
Like, for example, like, you have a lot of people that's very politically moving and they don't want to, you know, bother nobody, so they just accept what they accept and call it a day.
That's right.
I'm not like that. So not everybody's built like me, and I don't expect everybody to be like me.
Okay.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But what I will say is there's a lot of people out there, especially that's black people, especially in the hood, that they have a fear of saying certain things or speaking up because they feel like if they say anything, they'll lose everything and they won't have no shot.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't like the bullying mentality from people that supposed to so-called be professional.
I agree.
Because they use their money, their power, and their connections to eliminate any opportunity for you because they can. And that right there is ugly to me.
I agree.
So
I agree.
the reason why I spoke on what I spoke on and stuff like that is, for one, to let people see that right now is the time to really capitalize on everything that's going on. Because honestly, and it's sad to say, but since George Floyd died, now we actually get some representation and some attention. And it took for somebody to die.
It took a lot of people to die.
It took a lot of people to die. But you know what I mean? Like, it took the recent events of George Floyd dying to really make this so-called, you know, mission for everybody to be fair and have a shot and all this representation now. That's what hurt me the most. So my thing is, since we at where we at right now, take advantage of it, do the best you can in it, and learn why things are. For example, are you familiar with a company called Prowly?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look at Prowly, right? Prowly is one of them. Yeah, Prowly is one of the main companies that have a database of journalists and all this other stuff that they connect certain people with so they can get the attention and representation, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
When probably is one of the first links that come up when you type in top gaming journalists. No black, no white, no woman, no nothing, just top gaming journalists as general.
Yep.
So when you go to Probably and you see this, it's like none of us is there. So
You know maybe why that is?
why?
Well, I learned about Probably from your video. And I haven't done any research, so this is me simply responding to the video of Probably's website. Everybody was white that works there.
Yes.
I didn't see any black people working there. So I was like, Mike, that's the whitest company that I've ever seen.
David, I'm gonna tell you something right now, bro. I'm gonna tell you something right now. And after I say this, whatever questions you got, yo, go. Shoot.
All right, go.
We locked in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I can't reveal the names on this one. I wish I could, but out of respect, and also as a journalist, you gotta respect when somebody say
It's
don't
off the
mention their
record.
name.
Yeah.
It's off the record. I'm gonna tell you this right now, bro. There's companies, big and small, that will say, hey, look, like we need some black people because like we might get sued if we don't have any black people. So we need some black people, go find them because like here's the budget, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Right? And then boom, right? And then you have some other companies, which is game development companies now. Like forget the PR stuff now.
No, I mean Activision literally has people on their board saying, you know, we have a real problem with the lack of this was a story about 6 months ago where the Activision board, there was like 2 guys on the board, and they're also part of a group that pushes diversity and equality in the workplace. And I think what they were saying is it had something to do with, I think it was Activision saying, we can't fill as many roles as you want us to fill with minorities. And I don't remember if it was because they were saying we just don't see enough applicants, but there's definitely, I've even seen that where it's like we need to hire more black people because it's good for the image. I'm not saying that was Activision, but that was what that story was about. Go ahead though. Yeah.
So it's numerous amount of companies that would say, look, we just need, we need this. We need this right now. So there's no research, no development, no care, no nothing. All it is just, look, here's some money, go make it happen because we can't have this stuff on our, resume right now. We need to get out of this shadow in the hole. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is this. If all these years, I've been in the industry since 2008.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Imagine what I personally had to go through and fight with and all this other stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. If 2021 right now, you're just now starting to see some sort of money investment going into the support of it, and even then, it's still not nowhere near
this should not be the way, but it is historically the way. And I want to ask you this as it applies to game development and also game journalism, because what strikes me is as a great opportunity is like when you look at what happened in hip hop, where it became the dominant force of music. When I see you, when I see Next Gen, when I see Z, when I see some of the people on Weapon Wheel or whatever, I go, isn't there, and I hate to say it like a black IGN, because it wouldn't just be for black people, but isn't there a huge audience out there that would be passionate about that culture through gaming being represented, not just on the journalist side, but game development is becoming so democratized now. I don't mean you're going to go off to Sony, and I mean, you might with Sony, but who knows? But, to go off, because we didn't get any black applicants at Bartlett Jones ever. We may have gotten resumes, but we didn't know what their race was. It was none of our fucking business, and we didn't care. But anybody that we called in, and we were very diverse, not intentionally, although I was happy, but we had Asian folks, we had people from South America, we had lesbians, we had trans folks, we had asexual folks, we had women, but we never ever got a black person saying, I'm assuming I have theories, but I want, where I was going was, it would be great to see a group of black developers who say, you know what, yeah, games don't have to be black or white, but there is a missing representation of culture that we would like to really make that a point of at least some of our games. But I'm like, I know there are journalists that you could say, you guys get together, you ladies get together and build something great. I don't know who I would go to that makes black video game, or that are black people who actually develop beyond a couple.
Got you. So here's the thing. One of the problems, and this is what I mean that by it's sad, because the representation is not seen, is as if they don't belong, so they don't even try because they feel like they don't have a shot.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
That's
because you talk to these kids, you go into the inner cities and you talk to kids about video games, right?
Yes.
And are they interested? Do they want to make games?
Yeah.
Right.
But see, and this is why I said I don't care about if somebody hired me or IGN or hired, like, nobody could do what I do. I'm a one of one. I'm me. So I'm just working within my own and doing my own thing. Like I said, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like know who I am. I'm not worried about that. It's a lot of people that don't get. I don't want to see the same thing that happened to me and what I had to go through a lot of other people. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of the things that I started with Logitech, like, if you see Logitech right now, right, they have the creator spotlight. They feature so many different people and talents and all year round, not just Black History Month. Right. All year round, they feature area, black people, white people, Asian, they get it all. It's like that. That stemmed from me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's for me and talking to Logitech about, hey, we can make this happen and really make an impact. So when I say I'm good, I'm good. So that's that part. Yeah. But in terms of people not signing up or wanting, they feel like they don't even belong. So what I do with my gaming and guidance, bro, I did a class on Ted Price.
Oh, did he come?
I did a class on no. I did a class talking about Ted Price
about
to
him.
kids.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Telling them the importance of education, the games that he made, and all this other stuff, and they was blown away. And you know what's so crazy? They played all those games. They know Resistance. They know Spyro. They grew up on it. You understand? So by me doing that, now me personally is building a pipeline. So when I brought you on the show, and stuff like that time, I want them to see that, I can make things happen, make these connections, so nobody can never say you don't belong. Make sure
and maybe I'm sure I'm sure companies do this, but like, when I think about how easy it is now to make your own games that you can actually put out into the world, whether you're learning Unity or Core Engine or Game Maker, and I've heard people tell me, whether they're black or white or Hispanic or what have you, they're like, yeah, man, but if you grow up, and again, it's obviously a myth and it's a dangerous one that, all black people live in the hood. But, there are white people who believe that. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't have a lot of money, computers are expensive. And so I would love to see a company like Sony and Microsoft and all this go, and maybe they do this. I have no idea. But I would love to see, because a lot of it is, there may be the next great game makers out there, and they may be inner city kids or just poor kids from the Appalachia. Who knows where they're from? But they simply are never going to sit down with broadband and download Core Engine and go, you're shitting me. I can sit here and I get this. I can make my own fucking video game and express my views of the world. I mean, that I think is a barrier that I would love to see just destroyed, because A, it's the right thing to do, and B, we would get really cool games. Listen, how are you on time? Because here's what I'd like to do. I have 2 more questions about race and games.
All right, and then we can move on to the other stuff.
Well, then I want to take calls and super chats.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is probably going to deal with the race shit.
Yeah,
and then I want to talk games. Okay, so you tell me when you're getting tired,
bro.
Okay,
it's you.
Okay, I know
it's you.
But yeah, I can talk for a long fucking time. Okay, I have 2 more questions about this. You said something. I'll get to the last one, which is about your video as well. But what do you think? There is a theory or an assumption, and I did some research, and I have found this to be something people write about, that the African American community has a problem embracing sort of the LGBT community. Like, it's harder to be gay or trans in the black community than it is in a lot of other communities, and that the culture itself is struggles with that type of people.
Okay, so
The reason I'm asking is I want to know if that's a correct assumption, and if it is, things like The Last of Us 2, things like the idea of, you know, the LGBT agenda or the SJW agenda. I'm curious how your take on the black community hears that. Like, do they, you know, what is, I'm just curious what your take is.
Okay, so I'm gonna break it all down to you. So first thing, so let's say we talking like hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Just the culture of hip hop, stuff like that, right? So in the culture of hip hop and stuff like that, like, nah, like if it's like if you let's say you listen to certain rap songs and stuff like that, right? And they be like, yo, you a FAGGOT, like, you know what I'm saying? Let's say they say that, you know, in the joint. They're not saying that because they think you're gay. They're just saying that because you're acting like a little girl.
Okay.
So you have to know what things mean, because you can say something, but it means something completely different and stuff like that. So that's the first thing. So when you hear it, somebody that's gay take offense, but they're not even talking about you being gay. They talk about a guy acting like a little girl. And so like that could be the term, like right there, like 50.
But the very nature of that being the term that is chosen to reflect something negative is, and then applied to a gay person, is offensive.
Right. It's offensive. So the thing is, so point taken, right? Now, obviously back then, it's still like that. You didn't hear so much of the, because before the internet and all this other stuff, you don't hear these things so much. So it was more like normal, just in your own little crew, like in your own little hood growing up. It was just regular things because it wasn't as publicized.
That's right.
And stuff like that, right? So that's one. Then two, when it comes to just somebody being gay, what's not cool is if you gay, you gay. Like, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But when a person try to approach you in a way where it's not appropriate and you're a straight person, then it's like, yo, you're gay, I'm straight. Like, have the respect and the boundaries. I'm not into guys.
But do you
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you think that response in the black community is it I mean, don't white people have the same response? I mean, if a gay guy came up to me and said, dude, I like short guys who are old with a white beard, I'd go, really? It's not Christmas. I go, okay, but I'm not into dudes, and I wouldn't even think about it. I'd just say, oh, thanks, but no thanks. I appreciate that. It's flattering, not my cup of tea. Are you? Isn't that? That's just what. That's everybody. That's not a race thing.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Right.
That's everybody. Now, you have some people in any community that just want to be hateful. And they just go out their way to be hateful. Okay. And we don't rock with that.
Okay, so you don't agree with the theory. You don't agree with the theory that the African American community has a more harsh view of accepting LGBT people. That's not. There's nothing racial about that. Okay.
Are you kidding me? Some of the are you familiar with I think her name is, oh my gosh, I keep remembering her name. I think Lena Waithe, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Like she just came out with a brand new movie or show called Them. I think it's something like that.
Oh, I know this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and like she's a gay person. Like, there's nothing like wrong with that. Like, there's no like, yo, oh, you gay? You can't come around here. Nah, it's not like that.
All right.
What I'm saying is there's been what's not accepted is if the respect of the fact that one person's gay, one person's straight, respect the boundaries of what that is in terms of don't come on to me after I done said, nah, I'm not.
Oh, okay. So you're saying
that goes for anything. Yeah.
Okay.
Because what I have seen is I have seen people be real rude and ruthless, and that's not cool. We don't accept that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we show love and respect to people. I don't care what you do or what you do in your bedroom, but you're a human first. We got love for you. That's no problem. You know what I'm saying? That's that. But if you're a person that's trying to utilize your stance on gay, and because somebody doesn't agree with or because somebody don't see the world the way you see it, you try to demonize them and make yourself look like some sort of victim when nothing took place, but you're just trying to put that energy out there. Right. That's wrong, because now that's manipulation. Okay. So that's that.
Okay. Last question that I have on the race. My next questions will all be about games after the calls. In the super chats. But you said something that really I thought was really powerful in your video, where you were explaining why you thought, and certainly this is true for you, but it sounded like you were speaking, you know, to the black culture in general in America, that why you thought the black community plays more games and consumes more games is because the life of a black person in America is something worth escaping from more often than maybe that of a white person. And so you can because the reason I want you to talk about it is I'd like you to share that with the audience. And the other reason is I've been doing this stream on pretty much consistently, whether it's about games or not, for 3 years now. And I have always been so surprised when I encounter people who tell me, I mean, there's a guy in the chat right now saying, if you live in America and you think there is some kind of systemic racism, you are beyond salvation. I have a hard time understanding how anybody can look at America and you can still say it's a great country. You can still say it's a country of opportunity, but to say that there's not systemic racism, I think is naive at best. At worst, it's cruel. But I'll have people call in and say, I'm a black guy. I've never even thought about being afraid of cops. It never occurs to me. Or if you don't do anything wrong, the cops will leave you alone. And I'm like, really? Well, right. So when you talk about, that's one of the reasons a lot of black folks gravitate to video games more than other ethnic groups.
Yeah.
Can you help me out with this?
Okay, so I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Remember I told you that one of the reasons why my grandmother got me into gaming is to keep me out of trouble?
That's right.
Okay. So, it wasn't just trouble in the streets, in the hood and stuff like that. Like, when I was 12 years old, bro, 2 detectives pulled a gun out on me. It's the summertime. I have a t-shirt on and I'm running.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they come out, pull out guns on me. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I ain't do nothing. I have nothing on me. The wind is blowing, so you can see my stomach. Like,
Right.
you know, I have nothing on me.
Right.
And then they walked up to me, checked me, felt me. It was embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
I'm saying you know what I mean?
And what did
Stuff
they
like that.
say? What were they doing? I mean, what?
Oh, we thought you was somebody else. And I'm like, okay, I just wanted to get home.
Right.
Because I already know what could have happened. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Now, so the point is, even at 12 years old, I'm just playing basketball and I'm walking home and that happened. Now, you have to imagine, bro, when I'm playing games, it gives me a sense of power, freedom, fairness that you don't get when you just out in the world, because you can't turn this off. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying that I play games to escape this and that's it. No, I'm not saying that.
I understand.
No, I'm not saying that. I love getting games. But what I am saying is that there's a lot of us that when we do play games, we get a chance to be at peace,
Right.
have some joy. And then after all of that, you go back out in the world, you don't know if you'll come back home off of something that you can't control.
Right.
That's crazy to me, because even now, right this very minute,
Not even something that you can't control, something you shouldn't have to control.
you shouldn't have to.
I mean,
but it is what it is, David.
Yeah.
And then let me tell you something, man. I never really spoke about this, like, but I'm gonna tell you, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I could drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I got access to a car. I could drive. But bro, I don't really like driving anymore, bro. Like, I really don't.
Right.
Because if I get pulled over, I could die. Like that's just instant.
Yeah, I mean,
it don't matter what you do.
Yeah.
And just to make it clear for people in the chat, for those that may not believe about systematic racism, I could pull up videos, David. There was a dude who worked at a hospital, and the kid that he worked with, he was just trying to find his truck because he was oh man, what they call it, mental.
Autistic.
Autistic.
I saw
autistic.
this. Yeah.
Autistic. And he's laying down on the ground, nothing, hands up. The cop shot him.
And the nurse came up, right, and was yelling, he's autistic. He doesn't understand.
Yes,
right.
Yes. He got shot. He didn't die.
Right.
They didn't kill him. He got shot, went to the hospital. And when he asked the officer, why did you shoot me? The officer said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this again. Like, the officer shot him.
Right.
And when the officer was questioned about why, he said, I don't know. So I don't hear nothing like what nobody gotta say, because at the end of the day, I have a son.
Yeah.
Bro. Like these things run through my mind. So my thing is, when we playing games, having fun, it's that much more enjoyable and it's that much more of an escape.
Right.
Because it's another second. I don't gotta really think about things that's out of my control, bro.
Well,
so
I thought it
why
was
I said
really an important part of your video, and it was, I had never thought about that, and I won't say I enjoyed hearing it because because it's sad, but I think most people escape with video games, but I don't think a lot of people have to escape that. Okay, I'm going to bring in some calls and do some super chats. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, you guys have been waiting. I appreciate you waiting so long.
Thank you so much, everybody in the chat. Much love.
This is Draz. Okay, so we're going to mute ourselves on this, and we're going to put ourselves on the Discord. So I am unmuted. You are unmuted. And
we're here.
Hang on a second.
And I'm on Discord now. Like,
Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Can you guys hear hip hop?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
All right, let's go.
Let's be in the building. God bless, bro. What's poppin'?
What's up, man?
Pleasure to meet you, sir. Or virtually meet you.
I know, right?
It's weird because I can hear your voice and it's not going with the video.
Yeah, don't worry about it. There's a delay.
Oh, it's
I think the
probably a
video's
delay.
behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I on? Am I like on to speak with you? Or?
Yeah, you're on. Let's go.
Yeah, you're on. He's on, right, David?
He's on.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah, you're on.
Let's
so
go.
I'm on to talk with Jaffe and you.
Yes, you're on right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, Jaffe, I can't hear you, David.
Oh,
I
hang
can
on.
hear Draz, but I can't hear you, David.
Can you hear me now?
I don't hear David.
Yeah, I can hear you
either.
now.
Can you hear me as well, Draz? No, don't worry.
I can hear you. I can hear you,
Yeah,
David.
he's,
Can't hear him.
That's okay. Let him talk to you.
Okay.
Just tell him.
What's your question, bro?
Tell him I can hear him. Yeah.
Is this for Takamura?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your question, bro?
Well, first of all, pleasure to meet you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I want to just very quickly just say, I respect your perspective. I'm I have some areas where I agree and areas where I disagree. I'm not coming from here to disrespect. I'm Puerto Rican. My mom is Afro-Latina, if you want to call her that. My dad was more of a white Hispanic or whatever. I've experienced a lot of things in my life as well. I'm only 28, so I respect what you got to say. And I guess one of the things I want to touch on is, because there's a lot you guys went over, man. It's an incredible conversation. I'm very passionate about, I'm not black, but I'm very passionate about the Hispanic and the black communities. I'm the first in my family to go to college and graduate. One of my passions, one of the things that made me go for it is, I really want to see change in our communities. And while I think that there are a lot of people who are well-intentioned today, maybe within the progressive movement and some of these social movements that are going on, I think there's a lot wrong with some of these things. I think that our conversations have lost the nuance that is so important to have when discussing these issues of race. I think there's a lot of...
Draz, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so get to the point. What is it you think is wrong?
I'm sorry. Okay.
What is it in these conversations that you think has lost the point?
So I think that you're not looking at the multiple variables that could explain some of these instances that you immediately attribute to racism.
Okay, go. Give them to me. Give them to me.
Yeah. For example, Jaffe said professionalism is code for racism. Speaking professionally, it's a known fact that Texans, people with Southern accents, actually pay people and have for years so that they can get rid of their accents and be successful in big corporations in the east and the west of the country, northeast and California, etc. There are all sorts of examples of how, for example, the Northern French are extremely bigoted against Southern French, who have what they consider a hick accent, right? There's all sorts of things like this that could explain some of these reasons for why we need, a conversation around why professionalism is important. And I think that just to attribute that to racism is wrong.
Okay, but to be clear, I didn't say it was code for racism in the context of what we were talking about. If Hip Hop Gamer were to come into a office and say and present as he is presenting now as Hip Hop Gamer and not Gerard, or not have his white voice on, and somebody were to say, like the lady said, get out of line, that when he wanted to interview Peter Molyneux, that is where, you're not in line because you're not professional. That's where it is racist. I think overall the concept of professionalism goes beyond racism. It's a way people keep control and say, this is how I'm comfortable, and in that, you only have value to me if you can make me comfortable that way. And I think people miss out on a lot of talent because they are so myopic about this bullshit concept called professionalism. If professionalism means you treat people with respect, I'm down with that. If professionalism is that you come into a building and you sound like you have a Southern accent and I automatically assume you're an idiot, I'm not okay with that.
Exactly. So I want to piggyback. I want to piggyback on something you said, Draz. You said that there's people that will pay other people to try to get rid of their Southern accent so they can sound so-called more professional. That's the problem right there. Because what you're telling me is who I am and the way I sound. I'm not being rude. I'm not being disrespectful. This is the natural way that I talk. And the natural way that I talk isn't good enough or suitable for your so-called standard at your so-called establishment, even though I can do the work and probably do the work better than anybody else that you've already hired on the team. That right there is wrong, and you're contributing more to the problem. If I was to tell you, if you came into my office and I said, Raz, I love your resume, everything is great, but I don't like the way you sound. Are you going to go and get coaching on how to talk different to appease me? Like, seriously?
The thing is that I don't see how you can argue for being yourself and speaking.
You dropped out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My issue is I don't see how you can argue for being yourself and being accepted for who you are and the way that you speak, and then be upset when the majority of people who aren't of the same background as you aren't necessarily accepting, or don't, maybe let's say as a content creator, don't gravitate towards someone who has a completely different style than they do. It's not just an issue of respect. The reason for not even professionalism but standardization of language is that we need a certain standard by which we can all smoothly communicate and understand one another. If you bring people from, I'm Hispanic. You got to understand that if you're from two different Hispanic countries, there's a lot of people who won't even be able to understand each other, both speaking Spanish.
Yeah, okay, but that, wait.
How does that define professionalism?
Hang on, Draz. I'm going to mute you just so you know. After you ask a question, I'll mute you so we can actually have a conversation. If I can't literally speak your language, of course, no one's talking about that. But if I hire a Hispanic person and their language is colored with sort of vernacular of their culture, that is totally different. That's just me going, I'm uncomfortable with that.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I mean is, even in other countries, and I've been to Africa before, but can you?
Yes, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so even in other countries, Hispanic countries, Puerto Ricans, I'm going to speak for us, right? We have a way of speaking, oye, mano, ¿qué es lo que pasa aquí, bro? Acho, mano, bro. Cosas así. Stuff like that. There's that, and then there's, the standard Spanish that you use when you're a news anchor, when you're in a business meeting, things of that sort. There's a level of education that is needed, and this is why I want to tie these things back into. The Hispanic and the Black community, we have been brainwashed into believing, and I think this is the soft bigotry of low expectations, that if we are asked to not change the way that you are in private, when I speak with my family, bro, that's how I speak. But when I'm speaking in a professional setting, I change that, not because I'm trying to talk white, I don't care if it's an Asian or a Hispanic or whatever, and they don't have as good of a ability to speak standard English as I do. But my ability to speak standard English neutralizes the conversation, helps them understand me better, helps all of us understand each other better.
But the problem though is who defines what that way of speaking is. What you're basically saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're saying you're only embracing it at a pragmatic level, and I'm saying yes, but the very thing that makes it pragmatic is fundamentally a reflection of a white culture that says it has to be my way or the highway. Why can't I have a guy come into my office, and as long as I can understand them, I'm not like, oh, you can't say ain't instead of isn't.
Okay, so that's because we live in a majority white culture. If you were to go to China, go to any country in the world, they will have vastly different. In China, you want to speak Mandarin Chinese, and if you know about the history of China, there's some serious division there between the dynasties and the majority language. You go to China, you want to speak a specific dialect, and you want to speak it well. You go to any other country, there's usually whatever the majority is in that country, whether white, Asian, black, whatever, they're going to have a standard that is considered to be the standard for that everyone should be speaking, and that's what you want to buy into, okay? Because
can I ask you a question?
It helps us have a collective culture wherein, because here's the thing, if we don't have a way to standardize the language so that we all are partaking in it as one culture with diverse backgrounds, then what we have is tribalism. We have distinct people from different groups who are going to discriminate against one another.
You have that already. That's part of the problem.
But that's what I'm saying to you is that when I was a kid, if you were I had black friends, I had Hispanic friends, everything. If you were seen as not being black enough or Hispanic enough, which meant oftentimes not only speaking a certain way, but shirking your academic responsibilities, etc., you weren't cool. You weren't accepted, which meant that you were driven to fail.
Okay, so you're saying, I have this article up on the screen, you're saying if in 5 years, as predicted, that white folks are not the majority, then it will become okay to change how we speak.
It's gonna take decades because
oh my gosh! But you're saying no. You're saying though
this stuff takes time.
I know that. I'm not saying you can snap your fingers, but I'm saying if I gave you a magic wand, if your definition of what is fair is the majority defines the language. If I gave you a magic wand and I said the day the majority tips away from white, you can press this magic wand or do the wave of the magic wand and the language changes, you would support that, correct?
Okay, so this is the problem.
No.
Yes or no.
It's a yes or no.
There you go. No nuance. You're saying no nuance. No nuance to the conversation. Yes or no?
No. I muted you again. Listen to me. I'm going to give you a chance to speak, but you have to listen to what I'm saying. Nuance is a value. I'm not saying let's make it black or white, although in this case, but I'm not saying let's make it black or white. But what I'm saying is your logic for the reason that the quote professional vernacular is white or stems from primarily white culture is because that is a representation of the majority. So then I said, well, the majority is changing. And you said, yes, but that takes time. And I said, okay, so hypothetically, if it didn't take time, if I could make a magic potion so that the minute the country became not majority white, then your argument that it takes time is no longer relevant. Would you say you would be okay with whatever the majority speaks becomes the core vernacular? That's not. So that's what I'm asking you.
Yes, I would be okay with that. And here's the thing: I wasn't saying that the majority changing from white to something else takes time. The language changing takes time.
I know
English
that
already is that you. Okay, so what English is already. There's been huge contributions to the English language by Black American culture and other cultures. If you look. So I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to say is, whatever the standard, let's say the whites are no longer the majority in the future, whatever is the accepted majority, whatever the language has become, based on the contributions of all the different cultures, including the new majority culture, that's what we should probably be speaking, and that's what most people would want to speak.
Let me ask you this. You've heard Hip Hop Gamer in the past. You've heard him today. Does he speak professionally to you? If you were hiring someone, would you hire him or not on the basis of his professionalism?
I notice absolutely when I listen to him speak, I notice that he's not speaking I would say he's not. It's not Ebonics that he's speaking, but for example, he says ask instead of ask, things of that sort.
Okay, so he says ask.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so will you answer the question? So would you hire him, or do you think he's not professional enough?
I would hire. Absolutely, I would hire him. But here's the thing: it has to depend on what I'm hiring him for. Would I hire him to be my head of communications?
Yes.
Who uses? Let's say I'm in education. I'm in a university. Would I hire him to be the person who is teaching? English, for example.
Okay, not English. Sure, fine, because English, if you're teaching white English, fine. But would you hire him to teach physics?
Absolutely. If the students, I had Chinese teachers who I could hardly understand. Now, here's an interesting point about this.
No.
If your English is good enough, absolutely. If it's not good enough, then no. I had teachers who I could hardly understand, and I did very poor. I was already a poor student. I barely passed high school.
Okay.
But
hang on. I got to mute you. Okay, so what you're saying then is hip hop doesn't come off to you as professional, but you would still hire him. So then I don't really know what the problem is.
The thing is that, okay, good question. So I might hire him for specific positions, but I might not for others. If I want someone to be the head of
anybody.
Well, no, but you were talking about based on your speech, based on the manner in which you communicate. I'm a hot-blooded Puerto Rican. I can't go and represent my company with that sazon, with that that heat. Somebody with some of those characteristics.
Wait. Give me an example in English of what that looks like. What does it look like to express yourself as a hot-blooded Puerto Rican that you would consider an unprofessional thing?
Using words that the typical customer isn't going to understand.
That's different. No. That's different. It's not. Yeah, it is. You know what hip hop means when he says ax versus ask. No one's going to go, what the? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Give me something that would actually affect the ability to do business because of a communication problem.
No. So that's not what I'm saying. I said as long as someone can understand you to a reasonable degree, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with you.
But you just
being understood.
But okay, let me ask you a question, David. Throughout this entire conversation, did you understand everything I had to say?
Absolutely.
Did it make sense? Did it make sense?
And I'm trying to consume your content. I would consume your content, just like King Thrash Gaming. I consume some of his content. People who have that way of speaking, but actually, he's a little too much.
Now, can I tell you something? Now, I want to interject real quick just to bring up something because you mentioned about the teacher and school and stuff like that. You do know that I've taught at colleges, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And the point I'm trying to say is the same way I speak, like talking to you right now, is the same way that I did at your college out here in New York.
You would write a book the same way.
Would I write a book
with the same grammatical errors and the same sort of way the way that you speak? Would you write a book that way? Would I write for a general audience to make as much money as possible, off as many people as possible? Would you write a book that way?
No, because I would do if I was to write a book, I would have somebody that knows how to write something. I don't consider myself a writer of.
You want them to rap dramatically.
I'm not talking about like putting the exclamation point here and all this other stuff. I don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking like that. What you're talking about is proper diction in terms of writing. I'm talking about speaking. I'm talking about talking and understanding. And what I'm trying to tell you is I've taught in college like classes before, and they not only did they understand exactly what I was saying, but they understood a lot about what Ted Price, who he is, what he does, and they was engaged, and they also knew, they also learned something from what I had to say. So now, based off what you're saying in terms of in a classroom setting, I've done that with the way that I talk and the way that I speak. Now, if you're talking about writing and stuff like that, then that's a different conversation. I'm talking about speech and talk, because that's what you talked about.
Okay, but it translates to speak. It translates to speak. When you want to communicate with the majority of the population, you probably want to speak in a way that the greater amount of people possible is going to understand and be comfortable with you. And that doesn't mean.
Hold up. David, I can't hear you, bro.
Way. You do not get to attach, understand, and comfortable. That's very different. Okay? I can understand everything hip hop says. But if I'm a fucking racist, I can understand it, but it would make me uncomfortable. You've added this fucking wrinkle. You've added this wrinkle to it now, where you're basically saying, "Oh, you have to be comfortable, and you have to understand it." That's a very different thing.
When you're talking about professionalism, a company, right, which is what this whole conversation is, black journalists in the top tier of journalism. Which also, by the way, includes writing, so it's not just.
Go ahead. Wait. I want to hear your answer. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
That matters. Your style matters. You cannot just say that because you're speaking and not writing, that doesn't matter.
All right, goodbye. Thank you, sir. He's off. That is ridiculous. Because you're not saying you're writing. You're not saying he wasn't talking about writing. Yes, everybody can agree. Everybody can agree that you need to be able to do the job. And if your job, hip hop, dealt with writing and you weren't capable of writing prose in a way that people could understand it, then sure, nobody would say hire you. But that's not what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's changing the goalposts. We wasn't talking about writing.
I agree.
We was talking about speech and talk and presentation.
Hip hop. This is our good friend Ricardo. He is a journalist. I want to say he is in Argentina, maybe. Ricardo.
Oh, Argentina in the building.
I think it's Argentina. Where are you from, Ricardo? I forget.
Portugal, man.
Portugal. Sorry. All right, go ahead, Ricardo. You're on with hip hop.
Hey, man. Pleasure to meet you.
God bless you, man.
So, I might have a bit of a different perspective since I'm from Portugal, but I've been all around the US and other countries doing press. I've been a game journalist since 2003. And I can say this, I have never met a black journalist.
Wow.
Yeah. Wait a second. I think he cut out. You said you've never met a black journalist that but you missed the last. He said he never met a black journalist that he liked.
No.
I know. I'm fucking with you. I know. Okay. But you've never met a black journalist, right? Why do you think that is?
Well, again, this is from the Portuguese context.
Okay.
Might be different for the US. And we never had a black guy, or at least I don't think so, even trying to come into the magazines, So I think that the problem is it's certainly even on a lower basis. Like,
So what I want. Oh, sorry. I thought you was finished. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we need to get more black people educated, more black people given opportunities, even in a lower phase, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So let me speak to this. David, it goes back to the same thing, bro. When you have representation, you can feel like you belong.
That's
and
right.
if you feel like you belong, then you take a shot. I'm gonna tell y'all something that I ain't say.
One sec.
before.
Ricardo, thanks,
Right.
buddy. Thanks for waiting, man. Thank you so much, bud. I'll talk to you later.
Sure, man.
All right. Go ahead, Hip Hop.
So David, before I made my first video, the first video that I've ever made in my life was December 16th, 2007.
Okay.
And I was inspired to make this video because I was watching an episode of G4 TV with Adam Sessler, and I forgot which episode it was. I think it had something to do with Legend of Zelda, whatever.
Okay.
But Adam Sessler, I love Adam Sessler. And like I said earlier, it felt like the corporations were starting to take over their voices, and it didn't sound genuine or authentic anymore.
Okay.
That's the way it sounded to me. So before, David, or the everything, before I made my first video ever, I went in the mirror and I was like, hi, my name is John Williams and I love games. And bro, I almost fell into that trap trying to be what I thought was needed to fit in and have a shot in the industry. And then literally, I'm not sure, you know, how many people on chat or whatever is spiritual or whatever, but I follow God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And literally, like God spoke to me, was like, your grandmother put a controller in your hand when you was 4 years old. This is your life. You know this more than anyone. Like, be yourself. I literally like spoke to me, and I said, you know what? Let's go. And I did my very first video. It was with me and my boy Julio. It was supposed to be called Hip Hop Gamers, plural, but he couldn't continue on, so Hip Hop Gamers became Hip Hop Gamer. And now you know, and the rest is history.
Right.
But the point to what the gentleman was saying on the call just now was, I almost fell into that same trap. I didn't feel I belonged. Think about it. If you look at G4 Tech TV, there was never any black people there. If you, especially back then, there was no black people there. IGN, GameSpot, Kotaku, everything that represented gaming at the highest level had not one black face in it.
That's right.
Nothing.
That's absolutely right.
So, what makes you think, and us growing up playing all these games and stuff like that, like especially in the hood, because in the hood, see, I played everything, David. Super Ghouls and Goblins, Akari Warriors, Final Fantasy. Like I played it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is what I would love to do, and I tried to fit in, and then I was like, nah, I gotta be me. And then that's when I started. Now think about this for a second. You wouldn't even we wouldn't even be cool probably if I went that route.
I mean, I don't think we would be uncool, but I don't think you know.
Oh, you gotta mute something because I hear you double.
Sorry. Yeah, I got it. I don't think I don't think we would be uncool, but I think that
I don't think we would be as close because it wouldn't be as authentic.
You would have to do something else to make me go, oh, this guy's the real deal, right? I know, I hear you. I absolutely agree. I mean, let me get you some super chats in here.
Yeah, let's get.
Grizzly Bear King says, "Hey, Papa Jaffe, yo, hip hop, what's up, brother? Nice to see you here." He's just saying hello. That's a nice thing. Thank you, sir. Cool Hand Cruz says, "Yo, hip hop gamer, what's good? Gonna need you back on the Insomniac podcast soon. The all minority podcast representing like you drops Flex Bomb." A lot of people have said to me, "Where did hip hop go?" They're like, "I used to watch all the hip hop stuff," and I'm like, "You've been out there. Is it?" No.
But see, this is what I'm trying. Who brought that question up?
A lot of people all day long. I've seen it in the chat.
Okay, so here's what I was trying to tell you, David. One of the biggest problems in the industry and why I made that video is because people in powerful positions in the gaming industry was telling people, if you align yourself with Hip Hop Gamer, I'm going to cut you off. Purposely, because I was getting too big.
Media or publishers or both?
Media, PR, publishers, everything.
Yeah.
I was getting too big as a black representation in the space. Remember, N4G was the only way somebody that's an independent that didn't have marketing dollars on their own to put themselves on will have a shot to be seen and heard on a high level. Because if you didn't work for IGN or Kotaku or GameSpot, all these places, you wasn't getting that attention.
Right.
You wasn't getting that reach. So N4G was a place where it was fair game and you're as good as your articles. Stuff like that. I had the best articles. I had the best interviews. I broke the biggest stories. Remember, I'm the first journalist, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think I'm the first journalist to ever be a character inside PlayStation Home.
Is that right?
Come on, bro.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Come on, bro. So what I'm trying to say is I broke so many barriers without no budget. Nothing. Like just in my room with a black sheet.
Yeah.
That's it. And I was able to do these things. And I was getting too big. So you know what happened? Just like the first caller was talking about in terms of the professionalism and fitting in and stuff like that. My image and the way I am didn't fit.
You know what's great though? Tell me if you find this, because I have found this. Since I have been doing this stream, and specifically about games, I have gotten two types of people that reach out to me that work in the industry. There's the type that are like, I don't give a fuck, I'm coming on, let's talk about shit, right? And then I've got the type that, oh, that's not, that's gonna hurt me. I'm not allowed to talk to you, blah blah blah. It's gotten to the point, in a good way, whether you're Colin at the top of the food chain. Funny thing about fucking Colin is all these people abandoned him, and he still makes more money than all of them, right? He's still doing better than all of them because he's authentic, right? You're getting. I don't need those people. You don't need those people anymore, right? Because anybody can fucking get in front of a camera and go, here are the features in the new remake of Destroy All Humans. I don't know, that was my white voice. Right? But what they can't do is connect with their audience and build trust with their audience. And so the good news is maybe this is a perfect time for people to rediscover you, because it's like, you've always been out there, and fuck them. You don't need their access.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. See, one of the things here's what people don't understand. Let me just shed a light on people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm a character in Watch Dogs 2. I did a theme song for Twisted Metal, but I also did a theme song for a bunch of other games. I'm a character in NBA 2K Playgrounds, the whole series, 1 and 2. Yeah. All right? Like I said, I'm on Hot 97. I'm on Logitech. I got other partnerships I can't even announce right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to, I done had everybody my resume is one of a kind. Like, in everything that I've done, stories that I broke. You know, and I'll give you another example. Even when it comes to stories that I break, right? So, let's say recently, not so long ago, I did an interview with my man Michael Pachter, right? And we talked about Xbox Game Pass and how they make money on the back end.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a big story, right? Nobody talked about it as much when I broke the story.
Right.
But when Jeff Keighley, I think the very next day, had Michael Pachter on, and he had said the same thing that was said on my show first, because I broke it first. Now everybody want to make a big deal out of it and all this other stuff. And then there was some websites that gave him the credit. They gave Jeff Keighley the credit for stuff. And I was like, nah, that was me. And I had to show them the link. And then they updated it and then said, oh, well, this actually came from Hip Hop Gamer First. That's the story of my life. A lot of the stuff that people see, that they celebrate, came from me. A lot of it. I can document all of it.
You need to start your own fucking media company. That's what I say. Okay, let's keep going with these super chats and I'll get some calls. All right. Triggerman, thank you, sir. Oh, actually, no. This is AJC says, thank you, sir. Great talk. I got to go. I'll rewatch later. Just wanted to show love. Thank you, sir, very much for that. Triggerman drops super chat. He says, shout out to Hip Hop Gamer. The Warzone podcast with Torrance Davis and Hip Hop Gamer was my first introduction to gaming podcasts. Keep up the great work, bro. Shout out to Red Infamy, one of the best gaming journalists also. I don't even know who that is.
That's my girl.
Red.
That's her tech.
Oh, that's her.
Me, yeah.
Oh, you didn't introduce me to her. Is that you told me her actual name?
Yeah, that's right. I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I
Gotcha.
forgot.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Yep.
Zeal dropped super chat. Halo 5 cover technically has Locke on the cover. I don't really know what that he's talking about. Did you talk about the Halo cover? Is Locke a black dude?
No. Oh, okay. So here's what he's talking about.
Right.
So in Halo 5, you play as Locke. He's a black character, right? That's also Luke Cage. He's a famous person, which proves my point. Most of the time, if you're a black character in anything, you have to be famous.
Okay.
In order to get that role,
right.
Which means you can't just be the average regular Johnny or Steve or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You have to be that much. And that's the whole point. You got to be that much more. It's the same thing with the video that we talked about where you start at the front line and then everybody else was able to move up. It's the same concept.
Okay, got it. Makes sense. Beats Games Life says, Super Chat, thank you, buddy. You can promote as long as it's not obnoxious. He's talking about on NeoGAF. A blackface is obnoxious to NeoGAF. This is what he's saying. That is the reality that we live with. Thanks for having this conversation in the open. That's interesting. He's just calling it out. Drowned by Fire, our good buddy, says, Jaffe, that's so racist, bruh. SMH. Which I don't know if that means so much hate or shaking my head. To even say...
shaking my head.
To say their codes... Wait, okay. He's saying it's racist that I said Jason McDonald, Paris, and Blessing...
No, you didn't... No.
Let me read his chat, though. It's racist to say they're code switching when they're just nerds. We are not all hood duded. I didn't say that.
I'm a nerd too.
Yeah. And I wasn't saying that. I said it's very possible that they're like, that's just the way they speak. They were raised in a very different way. But I'm saying that it is interesting that the only ones that you can really point to that are in positions of prominence and in the public eye all happen to speak that way. And not in the barbershop way is what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not coincidental. It's not a coincidence. Right. There's a reason why that's there. But what I'm saying is that's, like I said, I don't know Blessing personally. I know Paris. That's my guy. Right. And since day one, that's him. So ain't no code switching there or, ain't nothing like that.
Drowned by Fire gives more money. He says, if he had the degree and experience and sounds as he sounds, would you hired him? Here's what I do agree with the last caller that we disconnected, not Ricardo. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And so in that, we can't communicate. Your literal sentence says, if he had the degree and experience and sounds as he sounds, would you hired him? You know what that means?
Maybe he's talking about the first caller saying he hired me. I think that's what he's probably alluding to.
I see. Okay.
I think that's what he's alluding to.
Okay, here he is again, Drowned by Fire. Thank you, buddy. There was one black guy on Attack of the Show, and Kevin Piera mocked him as being the whitest black guy on the commercial break live feed. Oh, okay, well. All right, there you go.
Commercial break live feed.
All right, Grizz, I'm going to get to some calls. Last super chat for the moment. Grizzly Bear, thank you, buddy. Google professional haircuts. Now Google unprofessional hairstyle. Professional in America means white approved. I think there's truth to that. And the caller would tell you, well, that's just because the whites are in the majority. Yeah, but why are the very nature of whites being in the majority is I'm not saying there's a problem with white people having more white people in America, but the idea, there's a lot of people, Gerard, that don't want to accept that things are the way they are because we are we're a great country in a lot of ways, but we're also a country that was founded on genocide and slavery. Yeah. We just were, and that's baked in. And if we don't even acknowledge it,
the problem's going to continue.
That's exactly right. This is rage mode method, maybe. Rage.
Now, I have a question for you, Dave, before you bring them on. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, sure.
But
go.
I'm sorry. The quick question that I have for you, real quick, and I'm so sorry for the caller. Give me a second. But the quick question that I have for you is this: the moment you had to make a video because of the racist situation like years ago with the Axel and me being on the joint, the fact that you even had to make that video, but you never had to make that video before with everything else, it's like that. That right there tells the entire story on why these conversations still need to continue to happen. Right. Because as time progresses, the same thing happens, but it's just happening in different ways, but it's still present.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
All right, this is Rage Mode Methods. You are on with the hip hop of the gamer. Go, buddy.
Jaffe.
How are you, sir? What's going on?
I'm doing all right, man.
I'm glad.
I really appreciate you doing this, honestly. In hip hop, I think that it's a tragedy that I've never heard of you before today. And that's, I think, is pointing to, the very things that you're talking about on this interview is that, people are kind of pushing you down so that people like me, I'm black, and I've never heard of you. I definitely will follow you now, for sure. But
thank you, man. But God bless and thank you for coming on. I appreciate that, man. Continue talking. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess my question is really, I'm also a budding streamer and a content creator, and one of the things, especially with like Twitch, is that I'm afraid to show my face. I'll be honest about it. Mainly because I think that, you know, the way I talk, I don't really have to do all the what do you call it? The cross. What is it called?
Oh, code switching.
Code
switching, yeah.
So I don't really have to do all that because I talk like this. I'm college educated. I got my degree in psychology, but I'm also an avid gamer. I'm like you. I've had a controller in my hand since I was 4, right? But when it comes to streaming and YouTube content, I constantly ask myself, should I be on camera or not? And that's a real thing that I have to think about.
What are you worried about if you're on camera?
I think that people will judge me based on the color, judge my content based on the color of my skin.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm sure some people will.
Yeah. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, like when you were saying earlier, hip hop, you were like, you know, I looked in the mirror and I tried to, you know, practice the code switching. And you know, God came to you and basically said, hey, you know, just do you, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time overcoming that. And I really want to kind of get some advice from you. And again, thank you for what you're doing here today, because this hits me at home. Like, truly.
Wow, bro. Well, first of all, love you. God bless. And I'm going to tell you this, man. One of the things that I had to learn is you got to eliminate fear. That's one thing in my relationship with God taught me. If you live in fear, you will never unlock your greatness. Your greatness, think about it as a video game. You have the boss battle right here. And right behind that boss is your greatness. If you have a fear to face this boss, you're never going to get the greatness. So whatever is bossing your life, whatever is making you not want to show your face, that's your boss battle. You have to beat and defeat that boss battle within yourself to unlock your greatness. And when you unlock your greatness, everybody at first may not even appreciate it, but it's not for them first. It's for you to appreciate it. And your love and
I have to like what I do first.
And
you have to love what you do first.
And if I may, add that, well, no, you're absolutely right. That boss battle, it's not even that the greatness is always behind the boss. It's that the greatness is the boss. The fact that you're going to fight this thing and you're going to put yourself out there in order to defeat the boss. It's the you putting yourself out there authentically that is actually what's going to make you successful and make you relevant to people and make you matter. It's I mean, because people don't want they want real. They want to connect with people, man.
Absolutely. And yo, bro, I want to follow your channel too, man. Like promote that, put that out there, man. I'm gonna follow you as well, bro. You know what I'm saying? We can probably do something together. That'd be dope.
Out on Cappy stuff, man. I just, like I said, I mean, my name in Discord is the same as you know, my Twitch name and YouTube.
If you
follows or anything
no,
like
no,
that,
that's fine. But if you send me a direct message, I'll tweet it out later on in the show. In fact, what I'll do is I'll make a separate video because I think this is a good clip, and I'll put it out in the next day or two, and I'll make sure that you're linked on that if you don't mind.
That would be awesome.
All right, but DM me though to let me know about it and remind me.
Through Discord, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, thanks, man.
Sure.
Thanks for the call, buddy.
I appreciate it.
God bless, man. Thank you.
All right, we are going to bring in King Darian 95. Darian,
right.
Jaffe, and Hip Hop. What's up, man? Are you there?
Yo, King, my dude, you muted, bro.
Hear me now? Hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. What up, King? What's going on, baby? What's up?
Yeah. I want to say thank you to Hip Hop Gamer. I've been following you for a long time. I think how long was following Hip Hop? You were on the show with a guy that used to do this. We can cuss on the show, right, Jaffe? Jaffe, you can cuss on the show, right? You can cuss on the show, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, good. Hip Hop used to be on the show with a guy that used to do this. Batman, motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
That's
Taurus.
hilarious.
Yep.
That's so long. And you're a big inspiration to me. And from Barbados, he was a man from New York, and I just felt so happy to see another man of color doing this stuff way back in the day. I honestly thought I would never ever see that happen. So to me, I'm proud of what you have done. But I want to ask you something slightly different.
Okay.
We saw Marcus recently with video games. I know we see the sister with Project Athena. I think right. Why is it that you think we don't see more black characters, or even like in games we have options? It's like, when you're black, you only got a bald man or dreads. Like there's not a lot of different like fears or nothing.
Yeah.
I will ask you, why you think there's such a limited variety of African American or just black characters in general? What do you think that is?
Yeah, so one of the biggest problems is that there's not a lot of power in the voices of the decision making when it comes to these deals. So that's one of the biggest problems. One of the things that I did on my end is I had to be independent. So whenever I get an opportunity to step in certain rooms and talk to certain people, I can be a voice and tell them that. See, one of the biggest problems is there's not enough voices in the positions of power that make the decisions on what goes out to us, the consumer. And as long as that is consistently there, you will always see these things. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. David Jaffe recently had my man John Garvin from Days Gone on. He said he's a white dude. I can't really write for a person that's like black because that's not him. So that's fair. I get it. So what does that tell you though? If we need more writers in those particular positions with AAA budgets and support and belief. Because, for example, right, like I told David, the gaming industry, ever since like I think 1972, I think when the Magnavox came out with Ralph Baer and all this other stuff, and you had these systems out and stuff like that. From then to now, I can literally count on my hand how many brand new created characters that was black that is on the front cover or something and has a dominant role. Yeah. Whereas everything else is just generic and standard. So when you look at the comparison, that's why we're off. We need more voices in the positions of power that make the decisions. And once we get that, more.
King, thank you for the call, buddy. Call back anytime. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Jeffy.
All right. I hope I didn't hang up on you. I'm sorry. What I was going to say is it's interesting. Miles Morales, right? Which is Spider-Man Miles Morales. People love it. It's sold brilliantly.
Love that game.
The director is a white guy. And I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but it reminded me of like when Steven Spielberg made The Color Purple back in the 80s, which is obviously an all. I don't think there's a white face in the cast. Well, there's a couple, but it's primarily about the black experience in the South in like the turn of the century. And there were a lot of people that said a white dude shouldn't direct this movie. And at the time he was like, no, let me tell you why. But in retrospect, he's gone back and said, yeah, it doesn't make, why would I direct that? That's like, even though he loved it and I think it's a great movie, there are stories that, that I think it's fair if to have a black writer or director on, or a trans writer or director on. Why would I don't, if we're going to actually walk the walk about, or talk the talk about video games are a valid art form and they are storytelling and they are just as important as movies and blah, 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 then I think part of what comes with that is the need to make sure that those voices are authentic. But nobody said anything about Miles Morales being directed by a white guy, and I think he did a brilliant job. I'm not mocking. I love the guy.
The game is phenomenal.
I wish he would come on the goddamn show. I want to talk to him. But it is interesting, and a lot of it is probably that we don't have a lot of black folks working in the industry. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So
now one thing I want to add to what you just said about that. So one of the things that stood out about Miles Morales and his character is look at his hair, the fade, the Timbs and stuff like that. So I hope I don't get his name wrong. I think it's Evan, if I'm not mistaken.
They spent a lot of time on that, working with the community, right?
Wait, say it again?
Well, I don't know if there were any black writers on the game, but I know that they did reach out.
No, I'm talking about the animated. I'm talking about they reached out, and there was some of the animators and the graphic designers, and they brought it to life for real. But to me, I feel like even if you're a director that's white. My thing is, if you have people on, the board in a position of power that help with decision making,
right?
Then I may not be great as a producer or a filmmaker, but if you tell me what you're trying to capture, I can make it real so you can do your job better because I'm there to help you. And that's the whole idea. You as a game designer, David, you're not the one, animating and doing all this other stuff, but you have a vision. Yeah. So collectively, that's the only way the vision comes to life. If you don't even have... Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I was going to ask, how do you think the black community, I know you can't speak for the black community, but as a black guy who talks to gamers and stuff, how do you think the black community responded to Miles Morales? Do you think, and the Puerto Rican community, do you think it was a respectful, amazing. Not the movie, but the game?
The game, amazing. Let me tell you, man, I'll never forget this one dude, I keep forgetting his name, I feel bad about it, but he put out this tweet and he was in tears. A grown man, bro.
Yeah.
And he was in tears just because he saw it's like he lived there. Like he in Harlem. Like he see the bodega. Like that's everyday life for us. So to see that represented in a AAA title, it brought the tears out, bro.
Yeah,
it was that impactful. So my thing is that stuff is important. But his was crazy though. Even with something like that, it takes Spider-Man for it to be done.
I know. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes a Spider-Man for that to be done.
One of the reasons a lot of people push back, and again, I was not a very big Last of Us 1 fan, but I'm a huge Last of Us 2 fan. And one of the reasons I see a lot of people push on it, I mean, there's a variety of things people don't like. I loved it. I loved all of it. So far, I haven't finished it quite yet. But is that I think what's so cool about it is that you do have in that game. It's matter of fact. You've got two lesbians who are going on a big fucking AAA adventure. One of the lesbians is a Jew. I don't know if I can name any Jewish fucking characters in video games. And I agree. Yeah. That shit absolutely matters. And I love the fact that Sony was able to step up and say, not only are we doing it, but we're spending probably more than we've ever spent on a video game. And it's so disheartening. Like if somebody says, I don't like Last of Us 2 because of the pacing, fine. I don't like Last of Us 2 because of what happened to Joel, fine. But when they say this is a game that's trying to push a social justice warrior agenda, it would almost be like if I make a new game and it stars a black dude, we saw it with Mr. Grimm. But if I make a game and it stars a black dude and I do due diligence and I'm like, look, I want to make sure because this is steeped in at least some of black culture, I either want to bring a co-director on or a writer on, someone that can be authentic about that experience. I guarantee you I'd have a lot of people saying you're trying to push an agenda. I'm like, what agenda? Equality and diversity? How is that a fucking agenda?
See, but that's what I'm trying to tell you, D. For people that don't want to see that happen,
right?
It will demonize something good because they don't want to see that happen. You want to know why? Because let's go back to what we talked about with the starting line on the field. The moment that becomes equal,
then they got to
and they start now we really got to see who's the best. See, in my situation, right, I was doing so much more with less than everybody else. So my actions are proving my point that I complain about and talk about.
I will say
so
about
we
that.
have to
go ahead.
Oh yeah, so now we got to figure out a way to stop this, because think about it like this, right? You know how you have journalists that certain journalists that may be very condescending to you because they have a degree, they have this, so their intelligence level is high. And you may have somebody from the hood that don't even have a GED, they dropped out of high school, whatever. Now, if there's a situation where you put them on the same playing field and that dude with no diploma out schools the dude with the college degree and everything, how is that gonna look? If that's been, you know what I'm saying? It changes the game.
Now, what I will say though is, I would never, ever, ever want to be on a starting line and not have it for a race, for a physical race, and not have a head start on a black man. I would never. There's no way I couldn't compete. That's a joke, and it's racist. It's a joke.
No, I know what you're saying. No, but the thing is, the point is, when you think about the races that we are running in this field, whether it's game journalism or whatever. Like for example, Colin Moriarty, he made mention of how there's a lot of people that turned his back on him when he was the reason why they got the jobs that they're in the first place, because he hooked them up and looked out for them and stuff like that, right? So my thing is, I understand hooking up people and looking out and stuff like that, but even that right there could potentially be problematic, because there could be somebody that's better suited, but they don't have the right connections or the right deal on the inside, so they miss out, even if they're truly the right one and deserving of the position.
And that's what's great. That's what's great about the internet and YouTube and you now and all that shit, that you can get yourself out there and build a fan base. Let me ask you real quick: is that offensive what I just said? The fact that I am, as a white guy, I don't want to race a black guy. Like whenever you give, like Colin got into a lot of trouble because he said something positive about Asian folks and money or math or something, right? And it's like, okay, it's racist in that of course, not every Asian is good at math. Not every Jew is good at money. Not every black person is a great athlete. No one, of course that's true. But when it's a positive attribute, does it sting? Is it still something you shouldn't say? Or as a black guy hearing my joke about, well, fuck yeah, I'd get smoked by most black athletes, is that insulting, or is that like
the honest to God truth, David, I can only speak for me on this.
Sure.
And to me, no, it's not. What I will say is this, and everybody in the chat, please pay attention to this. Be careful of certain people that have a victim's mentality, because their whole goal is to try to make you feel uncomfortable about any and everything that you do, so they can have some sort of power over you through their issues and problems. Now, we all know racism exists and stuff like that, but every single situation is not a racist situation.
That's right.
And people be trying to like hustle other people, to get them to do certain things because of something that happens, and that's not cool. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So everything, no, that's not the case.
All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I was always curious. Zim, you are on with Good Sir Hip Hop the Gamer. Go, buddy.
Let's go, Zim.
Zim, you're muted, bud. Unmute yourself. There you go. What's up, bud?
Yo, what's up, y'all?
Yo, Big Zim in the building. My dude, what's up, baby?
Yeah,
all day.
Two things I want y'all to address. One for hip hop, one for David.
Okay.
And it was at the top of your video, hip hop. You spoke on the Google algorithm. Like when you Google top journalists, black journalists don't really come up. So what could be done to change that?
Okay, so
go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. So now in a situation like that, the way that comes up, there's companies out there, and I learned this. Like I said, I did a lot of research. So there's companies out there that they have certain people that pay companies to always put their representation first, so they could get all the big deals. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. When I talked about Proudly, right? Proudly is a company that has a database full of gamers, game journalists, and all this other stuff, right? So they pay, and they have SEO, like SEO professionals to make sure that whatever their mission is always in the front page, right? So notice there's articles from like 2013 that's on the front page. Like some of the stuff is even blacked out when you go look through it, but it's still there as representation. So what we have to do is we have to get smarter, not just on the surface of things. We have to get smarter on what's going on the behind the scenes. That's why I brought up Proudly, because Proudly is also backed by another company called Rimson or something like that. Mm-hmm. So what I want to teach people is there's a lot of companies out there that you have to learn about, so you can be able to do the same things for yourself that they do industry-wide to bring this facade that we don't exist there. And I know it seems like a lot, but it's actually not. Currently, right now, what I do is shout out to GPPR. GPPR, they're a public relations firm, right? So what they're doing with me right now is helping me get verified with my relationship with Google, right? So my relationship with my relationship with Google, if you go to Google, you see that there's an acknowledgement claim that you have there. It's a Google Knowledge Panel, and the more you get invested, the more you invest yourself with the Google Knowledge Panel, the more you could come up when it says top gaming journalist or top gaming whatever or top anything in terms of what you do. Yeah. So that's just a little taste of it, but these are the things that I'm trying to educate people on. You can't get mad at it. You just got to understand what's there and then do something about it. Yeah. Right. That's the whole idea of the video, is bringing light to something that needs to be fixed. It's nothing, no malice or nothing. That's all.
All right. Zim, go ahead.
Yeah, when you first got started, like when you was in your 20s,
yeah,
and you first went to California and you sitting down at the table with these CEOs and all that, did you feel the need to like take the Alabama out your voice, or was you always you?
I was always me, but for what it's worth, I never really had much of an accent. My parents had a really thick accent, and I can't speak to what it would have been like. If I had to talk like this, I don't know. I'm just not. I can't likely tell you what I would have said.
Tobacco and all at the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't know. I would like to think I would like to think I wouldn't have, because I would have liked to have thought that I would have been able to communicate well enough that my ideas were why they wanted to hire me. But it's a great question. I can't answer it. All right, Zim. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for waiting so long, man. By the way, Bacon Magma, I will ask that as the final question. I see it. I'm not ignoring it, you fuck. You dumb fuck. I'm not ignoring it. I'm talking to people, bitch. I will get you. Hang on, but it's going to be the last question. Slayer Christ, you're on with hip hop. What's up, man? Slayer,
what up?
What up?
Yo, what up, Slayer?
King Slayer.
Oh, King Slayer? My dude! Yo, King Slayer, yo, my dude! What's going on? Yo, oh my God, yo, this is family right here. Yo, King Slayer in the building. Love you, bro. What's poppin', son? What's good, baby?
Bro, I gotta apologize to you first, King, because there's a lot of things that me and you never really got a chance to sit down and talk about. And, when you were coming up, I was literally right behind you. And when I saw you, I was right beside you. And the main reason is because, and me and David talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like,
wait, so Slayer, hang on. Can you understand what he's saying?
Yeah, I can.
Your sounds real.
It sounds a little muffled.
If you can,
I can hear him.
Okay,
though,
so when you answer, if you would just repeat the question, because I can't. I don't know whether it's really muffled on my end. All right, keep going. Sorry.
All right. So one of the things when hip hop was coming, so I'm not going to go too far deep in my past, because me and you, David, want to talk about this at a later date, and I don't want to take the shine from hip hop at all. But I worked at Sony. I worked at Sony Music at the same time David was working at Sony for video games.
Were you in Santa Monica? Were you in Santa Monica or New York?
No, I was in New York.
Okay.
And I was at Epic Records, and I was a 19-year-old who had an internship at one of the biggest record labels in the world. And I learned some of the things that hip hop is talking about right now in terms of how you have to deal with certain PR companies and all of this stuff, right? But when I got into gaming, I wanted to be authentic to the experience that I was trying to talk about without getting to have to do the song and dance. Because hip hop is right. I saw all of the things that hip hop went through. I'll give you an example, right? Hip hop was actually the person who introduced me to a lot of PR people in gaming, right? But what he didn't know, I never got a chance to tell you, was that I worked on Vice City, the soundtrack, while we were at Epic for Grand Theft Auto. And it was an amazing experience, and I was trying to get into gaming through Sony, literally in the building. And it was a little hard because I was still in college. But I remember sitting down with a couple of people, and I was talking to them, and they said, one of the things we have to pay attention to is that as you move through the ranks, you're going to have to be able to show that you authentically can do this. And so what I took that was I had to get my feet on the ground, and I wanted to build up. I said, the only way this is going to work is if I do this to a media company. And the reason why I said that is because at that time, we also had a lot of black magazines, and hip hop, stuff like that, like Sing magazine, whatever. And I had a lot of people that I knew that was there.
Slayer.
Yeah.
2 quick questions. Number 1 is, I'm a big fan of yours, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, you're boring the fuck out of me. Can you please get to the point?
Yes, I'm getting to the point. So anyway, long story short, the reason that hip hop is in the situation it is is because of all the things that he said. You have to be part of a clique nowadays to be accepted in order to move ahead. You have to. It's not so much whether or not you look like Hip Hop Gamer or you look like Paris. The question is what group of people are you in who have the power to have a conversation to not only just. It's not just about the people in the room who make decisions. It's also the people that co-sign. It's who's saying, you know what, I like that guy Hip Hop Gamer. We could bring him on. You know what, I like that guy, David Jackson. We could give him a play. And then you add tribalism in, which was what the guy earlier who was all over the place talking about nuance. You add tribalism, then you add classism, and then you add racism, and it becomes this nasty gumbo that you have to fight through as somebody like the Bob Gamer. And the only solution is, which is the reason why I had a couple of problems with the group that we were in early, is that you have to be able to support each other when you're coming up. Which is the difference between this generation that I'm watching that are doing game journalism versus our generation. When you look at when you look at the Lord of the Game, when you look at the Boomstick, when you look at Randolph Thorpe, when you look at the other guys over at Dealer Games, these guys support each other. So even if they're not the IGN, even if they're not kind of funny, even if they're not Gamer Tag Radio, they've been making so much noise because on the ground level, on a peer-to-peer level, they're helping each other rise. And that's how you beat a system that's above you. And so that's all I want to say.
Okay.
That was perfectly well said.
So can you hip hop? Can you please, for the love of God, make that comfortable for my white brain? I don't know what the fuck he said because he's so muted.
Yeah.
He's so muted.
I got you. So pretty much what he was saying is, in today's journalists right now, when you see Weapon Wheel Podcast, Next Gen, and Dealer Gaming, and all these other people, they support one another. So because they support each other, they form their own clique and network so they could come up faster because they support one another more. They tweet each other more. They come on each other's shows more. They do all these other things and stuff like that, right? So what King Slayer was saying is, when I was coming up, it wasn't cool to support the things that I'm doing, like how it's cool to do it now. More people was against me. And the reason why they was against me because of the fear of what other people was going to say because of how polarizing and how real and my style and my approach and stuff like that. So I didn't get a lot of support. Like I remember websites like Analog Hype that was, I think, a fully black, website that was starting to make noise, and they dogged me like all the time. You know what they told me, David? You know what they told me, David? They said, Hip Hop Gamer shouldn't get the attention that he's getting because he makes all black people look bad. Because the way I talk and the way I look and everything. This is what a group of other black people. So like I said, it's not, you got racism, black, white, and stuff like that. Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to who you are as a person. That's why I said character is your currency is what matters most. Because who you are is where your value lies.
Right.
So I didn't have that. So that's what King Slayer was referring to because I was literally like by my, like Torrance gave me opportunity. And I was literally like by myself fighting through everything. And a lot of people was coming at me to try to, because they didn't want that to happen. Okay. So that's what he was talking about.
All right, here's what we're doing. This is the last call, and I have one final super chat. We've talked for a long time. I'm fucking fried. I assume you're fucking fried. But what I would love to do is get you back on soon and just talk games. Just talk
games. Yeah, just talk games.
Because
this is like, part one.
You can't drop the bomb of that video last week and not make that the star of the conversation. That was such a good, important video, and I will link it to people who haven't seen it. But it dominated the conversation because it had so much meat on the bone. When you come back on for part two, if you're willing, I would love to just talk video games with you. Oh, you went muted. We lost you.
Oh,
there you go.
We good. We great, man. Of course, like David, it's you, man. You need there done. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a part two.
Okay. I will. I will. Okay, let me bring on Ricardo. Thank you for that. I'm going Ricardo. This is Ricardo. Last call of the day. Ricardo, you are on with Hip Hop again. Are you there? There you go.
Hear me?
Yes. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Ian. Sorry. So this is kind of a different topic, but I see hip hop calling himself a gaming journalist, and even someone as Greg. And I'm curious why they use that term, because as a journalist, like I said, since 2003, I've seen the industry change a lot along these years, and I wouldn't call them journalists. Like you said,
I'm sorry. 1 second. When I know you're talking about hip hop, but you mentioned someone else. Did you say Greg, like Greg Miller?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to be clear who you were talking about. Okay. Keep going.
Because a journalist shouldn't be hosting events for companies.
Why?
You know what I mean? Or doing ads.
I understand. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, by the way, in the way that I think you're using the term.
But what I think happens is the consumer changed, and the industry changed, and now we have this crazy new thing like hip hop that's more personalized, and it's more about their own views and their own content. And I just find that fascinating. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. It's perhaps it's even better for the current consumer.
I think I would love to speak to that real quick before Hip Hop gets his bite at the apple, because I find it fascinating too, because I'm a guy, Ricardo, that really does. I mean, I've never in my life considered being a journalist, but I took classes at college. I have such respect for what they do, because I know it's a cliche, but they are called the fourth estate in America for a reason. They really are the most powerful thing the people have to protect ourselves from the powerful. And it really sucks that people have such disdain for journalists these days because of this.
Breaks my heart.
It's awful. But I think, I think if you're talking about that kind of like Bob Woodward journalism, it makes sense to me. I mean, you've even got people doing political opining that call themselves journalists, right? In video games, which is entertainment journalism, I just think the bar for what a journalist is in video games is if you're comparing it to like a somebody who works at the New York Times, it's so low that the term has lost its meaning if you're using it in the way that you are using it, right? I heard somebody say about Jason Schreier recently, they said, it's funny that everybody raves about Jason Schreier being such a great journalist. And they're like, the only reason they say that, and I don't think he's a bad journalist, but I think the only reason they say that is by comparison, most people who use that title aren't really using it correctly, right? It doesn't mean that hip hop breaks stories. Hip hop has sources.
Oh yeah.
But I think hip hop reminds me. A lot of these guys remind me like Harry Knowles, who's got all kinds of problems, who ran Ain't It Cool News back in the day. I think he was one of the first guys that came out, and it was news filtered through his personality that a lot of people loved. Right? I think hip hop would lose a lot if you lost that essence of you, like you're saying, and you're
definitely.
So I know what you mean if you're talking about the
it's kind of an old definition,
That's right.
And the audience evolved, and I was curious, since he's also doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
How does he sees this evolution of mix of journalism and character and content creator and influencer and all that. How does he define himself? I would like, as someone that so far hasn't followed him, I will from now on. I was interested to see how he defines himself overall.
You mean career wise?
I think something different, perhaps even more relevant for today.
Yeah,
and I
so
would like to know how he defines himself.
Okay, thanks, Ricardo. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ricardo. So, overall, gaming media personality. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I label like myself when it comes to just the overarching hip hop gamer. I'm a gaming media personality, right? But there's different levels to me. So, one, I wish you wouldn't have got off the call because I wanted to ask him something.
Oh shit! Call back, Ricardo. Keep going.
Yeah, call back Ricardo if you can. What I wanted to ask Ricardo is, was he referring to media bias when he said that a journalist shouldn't host an event or something like that?
My guess from talking to him in the past is what he means is he looks, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, he looks at journalism as it's almost like that sacred duty idea that you don't want to ever become the story. You always want to be the fly on the wall, only reporting. And the minute you put yourself out there and you are the one being written about and you are the one hosting these things, you lose your ability to be purely objective. And I think from a journalist standpoint, if you're being a purist with the definition, I think that's probably accurate. But
okay, so now I can only speak for me because this is how I operate. One thing that I wanted to do after the first year going to E3, Ricardo, is I wanted to redefine what journalism was, because the journalism that I saw in 2008 was horrible to me. And what I mean by that is the way people treated each other and the way people went about things. I was like, I don't want to be this. I want to take it another level. So, to be fair, what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring entertainment to journalism. I wanted to bring more confrontation to journalism in terms of not letting people escape with just PR talk, but really get down to the nitty gritty. I wanted to find out who the person was. Like, for example, I love what you had to say, David, when you was talking about Corey Barlog, where you could find all the PR stuff if you want, but I want to know how stressed you was when you was making this game. Did your wife get mad at you? Like, things like that. That's what I wanted to bring, to the game overall and literally change it. And you have journalists, but then you have hip hop gamer. I wanted to separate myself from everybody so I couldn't be labeled.
Got it.
That was the first thing. Now, the second thing to his point in terms of the media bias thing, I don't fall into that category. The reason why I don't fall into that category because the truth don't change, and I'll tell it like it is. I always did that. That's one of the reasons why we have this conversation today.
Yeah, but I think his point would be, and I would agree with him. I don't think it's bad though. I wouldn't want people who do what you do to not be doing what you do the way you do it. I'm so happy you are. But I think his point is that no matter who you are, you can't help but be colored by the experience of being, in the room where it happens, to kind of paraphrase Lin-Manuel Miranda. If you are part of the story, you can't objectively report on the story. Now, there are people like Jason Schreier that says bad journalism is objective. You need some subjectivity, but then it gets into a big fucking debate about
that's a whole different rabbit hole.
Right.
What I would say that just to cap it off, bro, and then we can wrap things up. Just to cap it off, the way I look at it is this. I'll give you an example, right? So I'm a big fan of Mortal Kombat.
Me too.
So I broke the story on Kratos, being in Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, right? And I also hosted the Mortal Kombat event that they did out here in New York, and I also reviewed the game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people would say, well, because you hosted this event, you shouldn't be reviewing the game because they paid you.
I think that's true.
Because they paid you to host the event, so more than likely you're gonna give them a good review. So what I told that person is like, yo, I think you're speaking from a standpoint of a reflection of what you would do. Don't put your joint on me because I'm like, and I can prove it. I can prove it.
Okay.
There's mostly every game. Remember, I don't work for a company. I work for a website. I have partners and I meet. So everything that I play what I want to play.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
And so if I play the games that I'm interested in, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna like what I'm interested in. But if I come across a game where I'm like, dang, I was interested in this one, but it wasn't that good, then I'm gonna say it wasn't that good. And what I tell people that send me the game, I tell them, I'm like, yo, look, like for example, that game that came out for Xbox Series X, the dinosaur game.
I love that game. Second Extinction.
Played
it for 2 hours last night. You don't like it?
Yeah. And then look, I interviewed them. I love them. Shout out to Jerome, like all my peoples over there. But I wasn't feeling the game. I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now my thing is, I did an interview with them. I was excited for the game and stuff like that. I played it and I was like, yo, I don't like it, because to me it felt like I don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm going in this world. There's dinosaurs, and they just keep coming. It's like forever enemies, and now I'm just like, whatever.
It's Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs. How can you not love it?
No, I didn't. But that's the thing.
It's the greatest thing.
Me personally, I didn't love it. I didn't have fun with it. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I didn't have fun. If I don't have fun with it, then that's it. It's a wrap. So my thing is, I'm to Ricardo's point. I'm on here. I did an interview with them. They gave me a review copy. I showed them mad love and everything, and I'm on here telling y'all I ain't like it.
Yeah,
period.
I think. I understand. I think. So I got it. But I think what he's saying is, and I don't think that's a negative thing about you. I think it's more. Yeah. I get the sense. I don't know Ricardo that well. We've done an interview, and he's a wonderful member of our community. It makes it sound like I have a cult. But I get the sense that he is old school, very pure, and what he, I think, would tell you is that it's not conscious. You can't help but be affected by the way you cover things and the access you have, and you should have recused yourself of doing a review if you also did the interviews, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you're teaching journalism 101, I think the more you can remove yourself from the story, the more accurate it will be. Like, ideally, it would be a computer that's writing this shit, because it would have no feelings, no emotion. I'll give you two. There was a video I put up about a month ago about the Becoming Kratos documentary, right? And I loved the quality of it. I loved what it was, how well produced it was. But I really took the piss on it because I felt it wasn't as genuine as it needed to be. There was one moment in that documentary where Corey was in his car making kind of a homemade video journal. And it was the day that their art director was leaving, and he had been there for 10 years. He was one of the guys that was key for the whole studio. And that was the only moment that it didn't really feel over-edited. It didn't feel sweetened with music, with edits. There was no sense of a director. It was just a sense of truth. Well, I put that video out, and I felt good, and I still feel good about the video, but I took it down within like 5 hours. Because I have a personal relationship with those guys. And I was like, you know what? As much as I think what I'm saying is accurate, I value my relationship with Corey, with Shannon, with Santa Monica, with Max, all those people more than I value me putting out a video that shares that particular truth. I think someone else can share that truth, or I can share it in a different way. And I'd like to think I'm always honest, but I pulled the video because I didn't want to run the risk of hurting people that I care very much about. So,
you know what? I agree. I respect it. And honestly, put like this, to capitalize on that, and I know we gotta wrap up, we can talk forever, but even when I called you on the phone, and I even told you that I would take down my video if you felt that, because the way it may have came off from what you're saying, because the last thing I want to do is ruin our relationship. This means more to me than everything else. So I understand exactly what you're saying. And I love the fact that you cared enough about me, and in return as well, that we can actually became stronger, I would say. Because of that. And I love you, David. Like, that's it, man. I love you, man.
Okay. That's it. Remember that. I got one more super chat, and then the final question comes from our resident troll, Bacon Magma. Make sure your son is not listening, because it's vulgar as fuck. But here
All right,
is the
let's go.
last super chat. This is from WG Warzone. Thank you, buddy. He says, black kids love games, but they want to be athletes and entertainers. Game journalism isn't pushed in the black community. Blacks in the industry have to work harder to get the same access as a white journalist. I mean, I think that's accurate.
That's true. That's true. That's been told to my face.
Yeah.
That's been told to my face.
The fact that you were the guy who had to step out of line and all the white people behind you didn't, I think tells you what you need to know. It's a good Warzone. Thank you, sir. Okay, let me get, this is going to, if you're easily offended, hang up, go away. This ain't the part
for you.
So about 4 months ago, somebody asked me on the stream, they said, Jaffe, would you suck a dick? No, they said, would you suck a hobo's dick for $1 billion? And I thought about it for literally a minute and said, not even that long. Yeah, sure, I'd suck a hobo's dick for $1 billion. And I said, I said, do I have to enjoy it? They said, no. I said, am I going to get sick because of it? Like if he has AIDS or some STD? They said, no. I said, so in that case, I would have plenty of money, and I don't even think I would need therapy. It's like, look, I'm comfortable with my masculinity. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. If I was basically sucking a cock for $1 billion for my business, more importantly for my children, for their grandchildren, for their great-grandchildren, I would suck that dick, is what I would do. And so Bacon in the chat says that I'm not really pro-gay. Is that your wife listening now? She's probably getting to the point.
No, she's looking at something
Oh,
else.
good. The guy's like, what the heck? And Bacon's saying something along the lines of going, well, Jaffe, that means that you're not really in touch with the fact that you're really a homosexual. So my question to you is I know you're not a homosexual either, but if I offered, I wouldn't offer it, but if I had $1 billion and I said, if you go into that alley and suck that hobo's dick, would you take you would not take $1 billion? No, I mean, you put your wife, your wife would tell you, Gerard, start sucking that hobo dick. Come on, man. Come on, man.
No, let me tell you something. I think y'all put too much value on money, man. Like, I'm just keeping it real. I lived long enough, been doing enough stuff. Yo, bro, I make money, you know what I'm saying? I'm good and I got doing more stuff, but I'm telling you right now, bro.
Could you stop working? Could you stop working tomorrow and never have to work again if your wife didn't work? I don't know if she works, but assuming...
No. I'm not sure if you know, but I've been doing this full time. I don't have a day job.
No, I didn't say that. Could you stop working, meaning this? I'm saying this is your job, doing hip-hop gamer. Could you stop tomorrow and never have to work?
Not yet.
Okay, $1 billion. Get to sucking, Jerome. Come on, man. God damn.
Nah, man. I'm a man's man. They ain't never gonna happen.
I'm a man's man too. A man provides. $1 billion fucking dollars. A man provides. Jerome, come, Gerard. Jesus Christ.
Nah, man.
Jerome's in the chat. All right, fair enough.
Not happening, bro. Not ever in life.
Let me talk to your wife. Put your wife on as the final thing. Put your wife on. I got to talk to her. I want to talk to her.
No, I'll tell you, she's not going. She just left, but not left, but she went in the kitchen.
You call her. Put her on that damn.
She's not going to get on with the thing.
Just put her on the microphone. I don't need to see her.
Okay.
Come on now.
All right. Hold up. Hey, babe. Oh, give me a second, because she went in the kitchen.
Take your time.
Just like that. Oh my gosh.
Come on now.
Yeah, not happening.
Take your time. Take your time. Get her on here.
But yeah. So while we waiting,
we're waiting,
and stuff like that, bro, I'm gonna tell you something, man. What you're doing, a lot of people in your field is gonna start doing and copying. I'm gonna tell you why.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What do you mean? Sucking hobo dick?
No, you're becoming a brand within yourself, which means that anything that you do is going to get extra attention because of how you're building yourself up. So I'll give you an example of what I mean, right? So let's say there's a game coming out, right? And you're attached to it. They were like, oh, David Jaffe? Oh, everybody's going to want to talk to you, which means your game is going to get more press just because of what you're building here.
All I will tell you is keep an eye out for the press on Tuesday because there's an announcement regarding something kind of like that. So I hear you.
Yo, let's go. So, and my thing is, a lot of companies think about a lot of video games that come out, and those video games have no social media presence at all. No Twitter, no Instagram, no nothing to build a community around. Nothing. And it could be a great game, but it falls and dies because if you have no community to fight for your game, to talk about your game, to support the game. It's just like what you said about Sony and Microsoft, how Microsoft got more people that conversate with the community as opposed to Sony. That's very important to think about. So David has something that he wanted to actually.
Can she hear? Does she need the headphones? Can she hear?
Oh, my bad. Let me give her the headphones. Okay, all right. So you can put that stuff down first.
You don't need to be on the camera if he says she got stuff in her
she's
hair.
not gonna get on camera, bro.
All right, that's fine.
Oh, let me give her the headset. Here you go. And here you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you?
David, how you doing?
I am doing great. Can you hear me fine? I'm very worried about your husband. This is just between you and I. Can we talk about this real quick?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, listen. Okay, listen. So somebody says to me on the chat a couple of months ago, they said, and this is going somewhere, and this is vulgar. So if you don't like vulgar, you got to hang up. But somebody says to me on the chat, Jaffe, if we gave you $1 billion, this is what they said, would you suck a hobo's dick for $1 billion? And I says, I'm not a gay man, but $1 billion is $1 billion if I wouldn't get sick. And they said, no, you wouldn't get sick. And I said, I don't have to enjoy it, do I? And they said, no, of course not. You just have to suck the guy's dick for $1 billion and he's a hobo. And I said, well, for $1 billion, I would suck his dick. Yeah, I would do it. Right. And so I asked hip hop the same thing. I says, you got a family, you got kids or a kid. You could do a lot with $1 billion. Would you suck a hobo's dick for $1 billion? And he immediately says, no fucking way. I'm a man's man. And I said, I said, put your wife on the fucking phone. There's no way she would tell you not to suck that hobo dick.
I would tell him not to. I am very proud of him.
You would have $1 billion.
There's other ways to get $1 billion. I don't want his manhood to be in jeopardy. Just
okay, whoa. Why would his manhood be in jeopardy?
For me, yeah.
Why?
I'm not being with someone. Listen, I'm a straight woman.
So what? He's straight.
I'm not that type.
He's straight too. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Let me ask you this. Okay, I want to make sure I understand where the logic's coming from. So, who do you think Gerard's celebrity crush is?
Celebrity crush?
Yeah. What woman out there do you go? Okay, if she was, she's really attractive to Gerard. He likes her.
Ask him, who's your celebrity crush?
My celebrity crush? Oh man. Ooh. I ain't gonna front. Like, I love Alicia Keys.
Okay. So
Alicia Keys.
Okay, so if I said to you, or the chat said to you, we have raised $1 billion on Kickstarter. Gerard has to have oral sex and eat out Alicia Keys. Would that be okay? No. Okay, so it's about cheating. It's not about the manhood, it's about cheating.
It's both. No, there's levels to this. Because you asked two different questions.
Okay.
Since it's two different questions, like, it's no on both. First of all, the only one he's supposed to be performing any of that. It's for me. Second of all, so as far as the hobo and the man, because that just made it worse.
Yes.
Well, that's the idea. That
just made it worse. But it is no on both accords, David. For 1,000, it is no on both accords.
No, it's no on both accords for $1 billion, my friend. That's what you've just given up, because what you don't know.
That's fine.
Is Logitech is sponsoring this stream, and they have put up $1 billion for Gerard to suck off.
Anyway.
He's gonna suck off a hobo in the alley behind the Logitech headquarters. You just lost it. All right, fellas, listen. Hip hop. And what is your screen name? I didn't know you had a screen persona. What do they call you? Not you, hip hop. What's your wife's screen name? Can she hear me still?
I mean, everything I go by in the industry as Red Infamy. I'm a journalist.
Red Infamy.
I've been a
Red
journalist
Infamy.
for 10 years.
Oh my! You've been a journalist. Goddamn! You should have been on the podcast. We should. I didn't know you were.
For 10 years. I've been a gaming journalist for 10 years now.
Will you come on the show sometime and talk about your experiences as a journalist, as a black female journalist?
Of course.
Oh, I would love that. I had no idea. Well, listen. Thank you for your time, for your sense of humor, Gerard. Thank you, Hip Hop. Thank you. It's been so much fun. I love talking to you guys. We will talk again soon, and if I ever encounter the hobo, I'm sending him your way. You'll change your mind. All right, thank you, buddy. We'll talk later.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks for all the time.
Man.
See you, man. You too.
Always.
Bye.
All right, peace.
All right, there he goes, fellas. The legendary, the one, the only hip hop gamer out into the night. That's the show. Rob the Mod, thank you so much for doing the calls and screening the calls. I have one more call. He's been waiting. I know you wanted to talk to Hip Hop, but I'm going to bring you in anyway and see if there's something I can help you with. Slayer, it's Jaffe again. What's going on, man? Slayer, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on, man?
Not much. So I love the conversation you guys had, and I'm sorry I was boring you. But you know, as a black journalist myself, you know, one of the things that, like I was trying to explain earlier, is I was literally right behind Hip Hop Gamer. I suffered the opposite, where Hip Hop Gamer had to go through, you know, people saying, "Oh, he looks like the typical thug." I was the guy who was walking in with good articles. I had the education. I would literally go into a gamer PR event, and they would say, "Hey, do you know who Hip Hop Gamer is?" I say, "Sure, yeah, I know exactly who he is, and I have a great relationship with him." There was always this level of, let's compete, you two guys together, which is another layer of things that black people go through. Like, there can only always be one black person in the room. There can only be one black type of journalist, which is what your caller was talking about. Oh, you have to be professional. If I were hiring you, would you represent me? And one of the things that I learned about in the music industry and working at Sony, and I'm pretty sure you learned this too, is that hip-hop in general, hip-hop music in general, what it gave us is a way to look at multiple different artists. And each one could be rapping, but each one have a different persona. It doesn't matter if you're Slick Rick. It doesn't matter if you're NWA. It doesn't matter if you're Rick Ross. It doesn't matter if you're Jay-Z. It doesn't matter if you're Nas. Each one is hip-hop, and each one can speak in a different way and present themselves in a different way. And that's what taught me that, okay, hip-hop gamer, I'm not scared of you while you're doing what you're doing, and I'm going to support you because I understand that your perspective on gaming comes from you coming from, you know, having your grandmother introduce you to gaming. I had the same type of upbringing, except it was with my friends. We loved video games, but I also was a nerd. I was also into athletics. So I had to fight the thing of, oh, you want to be smart? I was the kid, because athletes aren't supposed to be smart, but I was the kid that walked in there because I grew up on Revenge of the Nerds movies and stuff like that. Right. So my mindset was like, yeah. My mindset was always, yeah, I'm a nerd, and I'm better than you. So let's go play basketball. I'm going to beat you by 21. I'm going to have on my Jordans, and then I'm going to go get an A in chemistry. That was my whole, that's how I approached everything. And when hip hop said you have to have a fearlessness about this, that's the reason why I named my website the King Player, because you have to kill the king of fear. We have to do it with everything, whether it be racism, whether it be classism, whether it be the deep incestuousness of tribalism, which allows racism and classism to be amplified, because tribalism could be, yeah, you could be black and I can be black, or you could be white, but if I'm not in the same clique as you, then I'm not going to get in the same rooms as you. Somebody's not going to allow me to talk to certain people. So I would see Hip Hop Gamer at events, and I would go stand right next to him. Right. So when people would talk to me, they would say, "Oh, he talks really proper." I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm right next to him."
There literally was a guy in the chat just now that said, "I can't believe they actually wrote this unironically." That said, "Oh, he sounds so articulate." No, it's actually he's quite articulate, is what Eternal wrote. And then Cosmic Bandit says, "Yeah, you're right, Eternal." Oh no, he was writing something else. But I mean, I don't know, Eternal, if you were joking, but yeah, that's what they're saying. You're articulate. That's amazing.
Yeah, because guess what? I was a kid, and this is where me and you can link up. My dad used to tell me, when you go to school, I need you to be ahead of the class because the education system isn't the greatest, and you're a black kid in a public school in the Bronx.
Right.
So guess what you're going to do? When you get home, you're going to read books, and when you get to school, you're going to be able to do the work, and you're going to be able to raise your hand, and you can leave out. My dad said, wait a minute. I realized, I said, hold up. If I'm smart, that means I could get my work done faster, and I can go play basketball, and I could go play my video games. Okay, I'm going to go be smart. So even when I had friends of mine that were like, yo, they would clown me, like, yo, you're too smart for your own good. I would sit them down and be like, so what's wrong with being smart? I would literally challenge the way they thought. And so that's how I grew up.
Right.
And my friends started to look at me, again, it's the revenge of the nerd mentality. That's what I grew up on. Like,
hey,
so
I got you. Slayer, thank you for that call. I want to give you a piece of advice. Because I love that you call. I love what your content is about. Please keep calling back. But baby, that microphone is hell. It's so hard to understand what you're saying. I don't know why. I don't know.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. But what do you think? I mean, is that a fixable thing, or it's just a bad mic?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that I'm on my cell phone and it's a wireless headset.
Got it. Okay.
I'll get on a computer or something wired.
Yeah, call back in the future. Okay, here's my final question for you.
Yeah.
You would suck the hobo. It's not just me, right? You would suck the hobo for $1 billion.
I wouldn't, but here's the reason why. Here's the reason.
No,
here's the reason why. No, I'll give you a reason.
All right, fine.
Because here's the thing. The minute I spend $100,000, I don't have $1 billion anymore. So I'm always going to be like, damn, this money's going away. And then I got to live with sucking a hobo's dick for the rest of my life. But my money is going down.
No, if you invest it, you can make $2 billion. All right, thanks, buddy. Thank you, man. Thank you, Slayer. All right, fellas, that is the stream for today. What a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time, too. I will be back. I might stream a game tonight. If not, I will definitely be back tomorrow. Don't forget, next week, Troy Baker is on the show. 9 a.m. on Thursday. The famous Troy Baker, who is one of the most certainly prolific and talented voice actors. He plays Joel. He's played in The Last of Us. He's played Batman. He is Nathan Drake's brother in the Uncharted series. He has agreed to come on and talk shenanigans. And you goddamn right, I am going to ask him the hobo question. All right, fellas, thank you so much. Much appreciated. I will see you guys